come on, Robert. You know what, Robert? Look, hey, Robert. So you're like half Neo, half Rob, right? Robert, one last thing. There's a Robert, there's me, and then there's this imaginary, there's that Neo again. There's that imaginary Neo. If we could just try to keep other Neo, and then I'm here left trying to figure out what the hell is going on. And then you correct him, and then you guys double team me. And that's called communication, Robert. So this is like almost like a 2-on-1. You and the other Neo were just explaining shit to me. I was confused,
What did the other Neo say?
Who am I speaking to, Neo or Robert?
You're speaking to me.
Okay, who's me?
Rob.
Okay, Rob. Yeah, Robert, I would definitely not. Neo, that guy's crazy, man. Can I talk to Neo? Because I need to know where it all went wrong for me, man.
Neo Jackass, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Hey, how do I sound?
Good. Well, I mean, you're a lefty, so as good as you can.
Okay, I gotcha. Hey, Rob, before we start, I want to say Happy New Year, Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
I'm glad you're feeling better. And
Thank
also,
you.
I know that your boy just had a birthday. Happy birthday, buddy.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Perfect. So I kind of, this is my first time doing something like this.
Okay.
So if I'm doing something wrong, please let me know. I'm not doing it like to be disrespectful. I want to respect your platform here. Okay.
Thank you. Sounds good.
Okay.
All right. So your position. Go ahead. We'll leave you talk about what you want. Go ahead.
No. I want to talk about what you want to talk about, which is like the little exchange that me and you had on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it.
So let me see if I could steel man your position for the audience, because never everyone saw our whole exchange. Your argument is me putting out a video where I said Joe Biden puts out sort of this farewell address and says one of the problems is mainstream media doesn't have the credibility it used to, and social media allows disinformation and they need to be held accountable, is basically threatening these social media companies for allowing free speech. And that's bad. And your criticism of that, instead of addressing any of that, your criticism of that is, how can you say that when Elon went after Groypers and Asmongold?
Yes, and not just the Groypers and Elon, but also Loomer, because I don't think she did anything that was violating the TOS. So I think you got kind of like my point. I think it was pretty good. But let me just really quickly just clear it up. So my point is that like the last 4 years, you've been like supporting and advocating for Trump. And, you know, during those 4 years, we talked about the border. We talked about immigration. We've talked about the IRS, because I include we because I can't watch left-wing media. I find it boring.
You're a Destiny fan, right?
No. I do watch Destiny, but I'm not a fan of anyone.
Okay.
Yeah. So I do like a lot of the
the only reason I say that is because I did check your pinned tweet is Happy New Year's DGG in the Dalaban group on X.
Yeah, that's the only community that I have. So, and that's the only people that I could say Happy New Year to.
That's fine. I'm not saying that makes you a terrible person. I'm just saying to say that I'm not a fan of anyone, and then you're literally in the community of a prominent left-wing streamer, and you're telling me I can't watch left-wing streamers.
No. I literally can't. I can't stand watching it. They're pretentious. They're know-it-alls. They think they're smarter than everyone on the entire planet. Okay,
but you're in that community.
Oh, but because I like the information that I get from it.
Okay, whatever. It's irrelevant. That's fine. I just thought that was odd. But go ahead.
Perfect. No, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I lost my thought. But I'll reiterate it real quick. We've talked about all of these things that Trump and the right wing are going to be advocating for, and all these things that on the right people want to see and want to do, right? So like the border closing, not exactly closed, just like maybe severely limited. The IRS being abolished. I know that's kind of crazy, right, to abolish the IRS. I don't think most people wanted abolished, maybe just severely limited. The H-1B visa stuff, and those are all things that you, and when I say you, I mean the right-wing propaganda complex. I kind of stealing your guys' thing, right? Add a complex to everything. You guys all talk about, and then as soon as Elon
wait.
and
First
Musk
off, so you have no idea what I've said on any of those things.
No,
You're
no,
just
no.
assuming that this is what all MAGA people and supporters have talked about.
Yeah, I think generally I believe so. Because like I said, I watch Tim Pool, I watch you, I watch Crowder, I watch
if you watch me, and you know for a fact, for example, I assume you've been watching me lately. You've heard what I've said on H-1B, right?
Yes, yeah, I did.
So if I disagree with, say, Tim Pool, how can you just say, well, I watch you and Tim Pool and Steven Crowder, so I know what all MAGA says on the H-1B if we're all three saying different things?
No, you kind of cut me off, okay? So I watch a variety of right-wing propagandists, and also I frequent X. Okay, so I know what the people are saying, and I know what the propagandists are saying, and I have a pretty good gist of the subjects and the items and the goals that they have for this next administration.
Okay. Cool.
And I know that.
So cool. Let's go one by one through them. So what did they say about H-1Bs? What was the propagandist, the right one, the universal MAGA propagandist message on H-1Bs going into the election was? Go ahead.
So going into the election, we didn't really talk too much about H-1Bs in particular.
Okay, so real quick, then when you make the comment to me on X, when you say Trump is doing the opposite of everything that he ran on, and one of the first examples you give is H-1B, and you tell me I have no idea what he ran on H-1B, or what MAGA people wanted with H-1B.
I didn't say that I didn't have no idea. I'm just saying.
Okay, what was it?
In general, okay, Trump is running on closing the border, right?
Right.
So does that cover only illegal immigration, or
I would say that the focus that he ran on was deporting illegal immigrants that are here and securing the border. I would say that legal immigration like H-1B is obviously a far more nuanced conversation. You absolutely could be someone that says, I have a massive problem with illegal immigration, but want to continue to allow legal immigration, to increase legal immigration, or to say that you want to massively limit legal immigration. All three of those positions are positions that have occurred within MAGA, within my own community. I can't speak to Tim Pool or Steven Crowder's community, but certainly H-1Bs weren't something that were talked about heavily or even implied heavily in the election with Trump. The far bigger focus were the illegal immigrants that were here by the millions and securing the border, particularly the southern border, but also the Canadian border. It's been talked about, which is where you get some of the discussion of possible tariffs against Canada. That was the significant amount of the conversation that was occurring. For you to jump to the conclusion, I assume anyone that has a problem with illegal immigration also has a problem with the legal avenues such H-1B. That's your assumption. And you, without knowing, admitting that you didn't hear many people talk about it going into the election and promises of Trump about that before the election, you just assumed that that meant that he would stop all H-1Bs is your problem. It is not an accurate depiction of what Trump supporters were saying, as is evidenced by the fact that an awful lot of people, particularly people that like Elon Musk and others that heavily favor H-1B, so went to bat for Donald Trump. Do you think if they thought Donald Trump's policy was to completely eliminate H-1Bs, that they would have been voting for Trump?
So that's another huge issue, right? I don't believe these people actually believe anything. They don't have any core values.
Who's these people?
So I'm talking about, in particular, just to name a few, Vivek, Elon, Trump himself.
Forget the actual people that are running it. What about the people that voted? Like, do you think, for example, an American of Indian descent whose parents came here on an H-1B visa from India, then became citizens, then had the child, now that child's an American citizen, he votes for Trump, and then when he hears certain Trump supporters come out and they're against what Elon and Vivek said about H-1Bs, they're furious, and they say, no, we actually thought Trump would support H-1Bs and that they were for a meritocracy, etc. You think they have no values? They're lying?
Look, if you voted for Trump, there's no reason. He has given you no sign no inkling that he would care about H-1 visas, H-1B1
That's right.
visas.
So
okay?
he didn't. So then the idea that you're saying that no, we have to assume that he was going to get rid of them because he said secure the border is nonsensical. You're talking out of both sides of your mouth. On one side, you're saying he never really referenced H-1Bs. And then the other side, you're saying, I assumed when he ran on the promise of securing the border that that clearly meant ending legal immigration in H-1B.
Okay, so to that point specifically, and I don't remember the specifics. Do you remember, was it Cleveland? What was it? Those people that were eating the dogs or eating the cats or something? I forget. So during that conversation, I believe that Trump did say that he wanted to have those guys deported, and those are legal immigrants.
Trump was talking specifically about people that weren't brought here under meritocracy to benefit the country under jobs that needed to be done, such as the alleged purpose of H-1B and O-1 visas. These are people that were brought here under refugee status from Haiti that weren't assimilating, that were a net drain on the communities they were in, that were massively being imported into small communities, that were massively changing the demographics and the culture of these specific communities. That's different than saying we should allow 80,000 people a year to come in at high level jobs, that there aren't people in America that are qualified to do these specific jobs. Two completely different things.
So, but those Haitians, were they here legally?
Yeah, so?
Yeah, and he wants those deported, legal immigrants deported?
You don't, so your argument is anyone who says there are various immigration, no. So your argument is this: anyone who has a problem with
you can't tell me what my argument is.
Yes, I can, because you don't know what your argument is, because you're just a propagandist who doesn't even know that you're
I'm a propagandist, okay?
Yes,
with 50 followers on X, I'm a propagandist. Okay.
So you can only be a propagandist. What's the amount of followers you need before you could be a propagandist?
Well, that's a complicated question, but I would say
why don't you answer it? Why don't you give me the general feeling?
I would say that if you have some sort of notoriety, right?
Okay.
So you have 10K people followers on YouTube. Okay. It's kind of like I'll know it when I see it.
You'll know it when you say so. Like 2 years ago when I had 5K, was I propagandist then?
I say you were working your way there.
Okay, but was I one yet?
No, not yet, because you didn't have.
Okay, so then you're working your way. You don't have the success to be a legitimate propagandist. You're just working your way to being one. Fair enough.
First of all, what do you mean? I don't have the success here. I'm not even trying to do this. I'm just a dude.
How do you know? What do you mean you're not trying? What do you mean you're not trying? What am I? Tell me 2 years ago what I was trying to do.
Well, weren't you working your way to doing this? Like, I don't know if this is a hobby or...
Yeah, this is a hobby of mine. I have a full-time job. I do this as a hobby. But you knew that 2 years ago when I had 5,000 subs on YouTube that I was working my way towards being a propagandist.
Well, I didn't know that now. I just spoke to you about it.
But you made the declarative statement that having 10,000 subs means I am a propagandist. But when I had 5,000 subs, that meant I wasn't a propagandist yet. I was just working towards it. So can you give me? So what was I doing? So 2 years. So how was I?
If I have a conversation with you and I learn information from you, I can discern what you were doing back then and what you're doing now.
Okay, and so what was I doing back then? You're now discerning. Go ahead.
Yeah, you were working your way to the level that you are at right now.
Okay.
Congratulations.
So
by the way.
anyone who so just to be clear, anyone who talks about things political or cultural that has at minimum 10,000 subscribers on any platform is a propagandist, or is it only people that are advocating certain political positions?
No, so you're putting like a specific limit on this, and I don't even know what we're even talking about this.
Because like you're using the term. You're using the term for a reason. Because you like the negative connotation that comes from it. I think on any political issue we talk about, I would beat the shit out of you intellectually. And I don't particularly think I'm that smart of a person. I think that tends to the belief that you're sort of like an NPC propagandist type character yourself. Now, you're not good at it. I'll give you that. Left-wing propagandists, NPCs are a dime a dozen. And you don't have the intelligence or charisma of even the low-level people that we see on the left to even be considered for having any sort of audience. So even though I might be a very untalented person and have a small audience, the truth is the fact that you want to use so arrogant of a term to assume that I'm some sort of propagandist because you like the negative connotation, but then you can't even define what it is. Just further goes to speak to the truth that you're going to be incapable of keeping up on any of these specific topics. So you're going to resort to loaded language like that to try to get your point across. So anyways,
I'm not even.
Are there left wing? So the beliefs that you have, if you were espousing them on a weekly show and you had 10,000 subs, would you be a propagandist?
No, I wouldn't be personally.
Why?
Because I would keep it. I would keep it to the truth. I would speak the truth.
So I don't speak the truth and you do. And that's what makes me a propagandist and you not.
No. That's not what makes you a propagandist. That's just the difference between us.
So then what makes me a propagandist?
Rob, you keep saying things, right? You keep assuming what I'm talking about.
No. You seem to give a clear delineation. If there's some sort, you said there's two things necessary. It seems to be you implied to be a propagandist. One, you have to have a certain level of notoriety, which you then put as basically subscribers or enough people that are listening to you. 5,000 not enough. 10,000 is. So somewhere in between 5 and 10,000 people.
But this is my opinion, Rob.
That's fine.
This is my opinion.
That's right. That's what we're talking about. Your opinion.
Yeah.
Why would we not be talking about your opinion on this matter? Well, whose opinion should we be talking about then?
Yeah, so how could you tell me my opinion is wrong? Back 5 years ago,
I could criticize.
That's
so your argument is that if someone just says, "Here is a belief of mine and it's an opinion," that no one's allowed to criticize that opinion.
You can criticize. That's why I'm here. That's
right.
why I'm talking.
That's
to you.
right. And so you saying, "Why are you criticizing it? Why are you saying I'm wrong?" You know the answer to that. That's why you're here.
No, I didn't say I didn't think you were wrong.
So it said, one, that there was some sort of notoriety, which you put between 5 and 10,000 subs on a particular platform. And second, it seemed to be that you suggested it had to do with telling the truth or not. Those were the two criteria
absolutely.
you give. Okay, so then when I say the difference is if you had 10,000 people.
Specifically on you, Rob, I don't know yet. I don't have enough information to know whether you're telling the truth.
But you already said I'm a propagandist.
Or if you actually believe this stuff. Yeah,
you
it's
already
the same
said
thing.
No. You said
the end result, Rob.
No.
The end result of your words is propaganda.
That's not true, right? What you said was that there were two things you implied that made someone a propagandist. One, they had to have enough followers, and second, that they don't tell the truth. You said that if you had 10,000 followers and doing a show like mine, you wouldn't be a propagandist because you tell the truth. In fact, you said the difference between me and you is you tell the truth and I don't. Now you're immediately backtracking saying, Rob, I don't know if you're telling the truth or not.
No. I don't know if you actually believe what you're saying. What you're saying is definitely not true.
Okay, so what am I saying that's not true?
Okay, so what I watched a series of videos that you made, like the shorts.
Okay.
And you went through like everyone who should be voting and why they should be voting for Trump.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
Okay, so let's say I'm one of those people that in your audience, and we talk about how Trump wants to protect the border and how he wants to close it up and do whatever it is, but then Trump tells through Congress. He tells them, hey, don't close the border. Don't pass any bills because I want to use this to win the election.
See, what you're doing is lying. So you're saying that I'm not telling the truth because you yourself is telling a lie. What was reported was that Trump told people not to vote for that bill because it was a bad bill. Would you like to have a debate on that bill?
No, I'm not going to have that.
Why? You just made a declarative statement. You said that Trump actually doesn't care about securing the border because he told people not to vote for that bill.
No,
that was a bad bill. For example,
I'm not here to debate that bill.
Well, wait, so then you make a statement. You say that I am not telling the truth because I say people that want a secure border should vote for Trump over Kamala. And you say that's an example of me not telling the truth because Trump recommended that they not push through the Langford bill. But the reason that they didn't want the Langford bill was because it was not good.
You might actually believe this stuff. You might actually believe this.
Okay, whether I actually believe it is irrelevant to the question you're raising, which is this a truthful statement? And so to get whether or not that would be a truthful statement, we would have to then know whether or not that bill would have been good for securing the border. Right?
No, that's not what we need to figure out.
Why? If your argument is you say Trump wants to secure the border, but that's not true because if he did, he would have supported this bill and not told people not to vote against it. And I say, but actually that bill was bad for the border. And you said, I don't want to talk about that.
No, hold on. I'm talking about what we're debating right now.
Right. What we're talking about right now is let me say this. If I said Trump ran on funding the police more, and you said that's not true because he was against the Democrat push Bernie Sanders bill, the Let's Fund Police More bill, And so you're lying. That's not a true statement. Trump was against the Let's Fund Police More bill. And then I said, but actually, that bill was just ironically named, and it took funding from the police. And you said, I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about that.
Okay,
that's proof enough for you.
You're making an argument I'm not making, Rob.
I am. The argument you're making is that Trump clearly didn't care about securing the border because he told people to not vote for the Langford bill. My argument is, but the Langford bill would have been bad for securing.
Was the Langford bill better than what we had at the border at the time?
No.
Absolutely it was.
Okay,
Absolutely.
so now you want to. Okay, so now there you go. So now you want to have the debate. No, it was not. Would you like to go through the reasons why?
I'm not having that debate, Rob. I want to talk about your propagandism.
You can't just make a declarative statement. Now we have a disagreement. You're saying that the bill was better than the status quo for securing the border. I'm saying that it wasn't. I'm saying, fine, great. Now we found an area of disagreement. Let's debate it. You say, I don't want to debate it.
No, I don't, because I'm not here to debate that. I'm here to talk about...
because you can't defend your position. So you're making a statement. What you're doing is you're saying, I say that a statement is true or not, but I'm unwilling to defend that. I'm unwilling to argue it. Audience, take my word. I'm right, Rob's wrong, but I'm not going to defend it.
Rob, why am I here if you're just going to argue against a hypothetical neo-jackass?
What are you talking about, arguing against a hypothetical?
You're making all my arguments for me.
It is not arguing against that is literally your... I'm going to go step by step and steel man your position, and I'm going to pause.
I don't want you to. I'm right here. I can tell you my position.
Is there things that could get lost in translation when one person talks and another doesn't? Is one of the ways to clear that up is for the person that's trying to articulate what he thinks the other person's saying to repeat what he thinks that person's saying?
Rob, every time I make a point, you define it in a different way, Rob.
Okay, that's why we're going to go step by step, and you tell me where I'm wrong. Correct?
Okay.
Step one.
Robert.
Step one. I put out a video that said that Trump, if you're concerned about the border, you should vote for Trump over Kamala. Agreed? You said that.
Say again? Say that one more time.
I put out a video that said, if you care about securing the border, you should vote for Trump over Kamala.
Yes.
Okay. That's step one. Step two. That's not true, though, because Trump told people not to vote for the Senate border bill.
That's not what I said.
Okay, what did you say?
Okay, so this is my point. I'll try to make it very quick. Okay, I'm sorry, Rob. So in America, things work in steps, right? We do take little steps forward, little steps forward, little steps forward. So if Trump had just said, "Hey, pass that bill," and then when I win in November, we'll pass an even stronger one. So we'll stop the bleed at the border as best as we possibly can. Okay, and then in November when I win, we'll pass an even better bill. Okay, that's what someone who actually cares.
Okay, so when I say so just to be clear, when I said step two, you said which is what you said, that you said that Trump told people not to vote for this bill, which proved he didn't care about the border. Now you would like to change your position to, actually step two is Trump should have said vote for this bill, then when I get there, we'll have a stronger bill. And the fact that he didn't proves he doesn't care about the border.
I didn't change anything. You steel man.
That's not true.
The things that I'm saying.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is we're going to stop right now. I'm going to ban you from the channel entirely. If I go back,
are you serious?
Yes. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and see if you ever made the claim previously that Trump, what he should have said was vote for this bill now, and then when we come in, we'll vote for a more secure border bill.
No, or if you said that.
Or if you said something more akin to what I said was, you said that Trump cared about the border, but he told people not to vote for this bill, which proves it's not true. You're saying you never said that you always said the latter position, and the latter position was that Trump should have said that I would vote for this bill now, and then I'll have a more secure border now.
Yeah, and
if I'm wrong, and that's what you said, I will give you the most sincere apology, and I'll allow you to stay on for the rest of the show tonight to talk about whatever you want. If I'm correct, that that's what you said, and that you're now lying, and that you've changed your position, then you'll be banned. Fair deal?
Rob,
is that fair?
No, it's fair. Can I have 30 seconds to just?
No, I just. Are you willing to say, okay, you're right. That's not what I originally said.
No, well, hold on, Rob. Like you're like every time I say something, okay, you go back and you like explain it in a way that I'm not actually saying those things.
What I'm doing, that's not true. What I'm doing is
It
explaining
is.
it. What you want to do, it's like if you said, well, 2 + 2 is 5. And I said, well, 2 + 2 came. Well, I didn't mean it exactly like that. And I mean, you're wiggling out because you realize how weak your position is. So what you did was you originally said, you put a video out that said Trump cares about the border. But that's not true because he told people not to vote for the secure border bill. And so that's something that wasn't true. And I'm like, yeah, but that bill wouldn't have helped the border. And you're like, yeah, it would have. And I said, fine, let's debate about that. And you're like, I don't want to debate about that. And I was like, but that's crucial to whether or not that's a true statement if Trump cares about the border or not. And you're like, well, all I'm saying is it was better in the status quo. And I was like, I disagree. I don't think it was better in the status quo. Let's debate about it. And you say, no, I don't want to debate about it. You're putting words in my mouth. And I said, then let's go step by step. And you said, fine, let's go step by step. I said, step 1, I put a video out saying, if you care about border security, vote for Trump over Kamala. You agree? Yes. Step 2, you said that that's not true because Trump told people not to vote for this bill. You say, no, that's not what I said. I say, okay, what did you say? I said that what Trump should have said if he cared about the bill or the border was vote for this bill now, and then when I get into office, we'll pass a greater bill. Now, the point I'm going to try to make is you're just trying to add more context to the fact that you're basically saying that what I said was actually accurate. That step 1 was you had a problem with me saying that Trump, if you've cared about secure border, vote for Trump over Kamala. Step 2 is that's not true. Trump doesn't care about the border because he was against this bill. You're just trying to add context so that you could get away with saying that I'm misrepresenting you. But even in your added context, it's saying the same damn thing. The problem you have is you think that there was this good border bill that would have helped secure the border in some way that was better than the status quo, and Trump was against it, and therefore that proves that he doesn't care about the border. That's what I've said your position was the entire time, and you keep saying, no, that's a misrepresentation of my position. Then when I give you a chance to explain, you just put more words in to say the exact same thing, which is indicative of someone who knows that they have a losing position and can't defend it, so they have to continually say, no, as you're destroying each and every one of my arguments, I have to say that wasn't my argument, and then re-articulate the argument that means the exact same thing, but just add new words to it. That's what you're doing. That's why Robert, I say you're lying when you're saying that there was, I never said that the reason that I knew Trump didn't care about the border was because he told people not to vote against it. What I said was he should have told people to vote for it and then he would have done more. You never said that. That's just you adding context, and that context is still fundamentally the same argument. Your problem is I said Trump was better for the border than Kamala, but that's not true because Trump told people not to vote for this border bill. That's your fucking argument. And you can't defend it, so you have to repeatedly say, no, that's not what my argument is.
Robert, so how can you possibly know my position if you just interrupt me and then tell me?
Because I know what the English language is. I understand what the words you were saying are. That's how I know what your argument is. Because I'm taking it faith. Are you being good faith when you talk? Are Absolutely. You telling me the truth? Okay, so then I'm taking the words you're saying. Like if you said, I'm 5'10", and that means I'm good at basketball. And I said, well, wait a minute. Here's the reasons that being 5'10" doesn't necessarily mean you're good at basketball. A, B, and C. And you said, I'm not saying I'm 5'10" or I'm good at basketball. How dare you say that? How could you assume that's what I'm saying? I could assume that because that's what you said. Just like I could assume that you said the reason I'm not telling the truth is, well, this first example is because you put out a video saying if you care about border security, you should prefer Trump over Kamala. But Trump, that's not true because Trump told people not to vote for this border bill. I could assume that was your argument because that's what you said.
15 seconds. That's all I'm asking for. First of all, I told you, okay, Rob, I don't even know if you actually believe this or not. So you could be telling the truth from yourself, from your inner self. You could actually believe these things, okay? So, and you sound like you believe them. You sound like you're telling this, and you actually believe these things, okay? But
what does that have anything to do with this argument?
No, it doesn't.
Cool. But, next.
Okay, so how can I make my argument clear if you interrupt me and yell over me constantly?
I'm not. I'm allowing you to make your argument, and I say, okay, this is your argument, and then I proceed to attack it, and you say, no, that's not my argument. Then you proceed to recontextualize the exact same argument. I say, okay, fine. Your now argument is this. Now, let me explain why that's wrong. And you say, no, that's not my argument. That's what's happening.
Very clear. This is my exact point. It'll be very quick. Trump says one thing, and then he does the opposite. And so does his cabinet. So
on the border. Yeah. So on the border, Trump says he wants a secure border. What did he do that was the opposite?
Okay, so on H-1B.
No.
Okay.
Wait, we're going to the example that you first brought up. Trump said he wanted a secure border. I put a video out saying Trump's better for securing the border than Kamala. Your problem with that was? Go ahead.
Yeah, and like I said in my X tweet, I said Elon/Trump.
No.
So Elon is all about the H-1B.
What does that have to do? I just gave you a chance to talk about me specifically. And you brought up the example. I didn't bring it up. The example that you brought up, I assume this is a good example because it's the first one that came to your head was, well, Rob, what makes me think that you're a propagandist is as follows. You said that you put out a video saying if you care about the border, you should prefer Trump over Kamala. But that's not true because, go ahead. Why isn't that true?
Okay, so one example is the entire the border bill that wasn't passed. Someone who actually cares about the border and border security and how, people are coming over from Mexico and from Canada and they're committing crimes. They're killing they're killing our citizens. They're dealing drugs. They're doing all these things that you guys claim they're doing. Okay. And some are. Absolutely. Some would do anything in their power to try to slow that down, even if it's not a great bill. That's one.
Okay, so then let me recontextualize your argument without all the fluffer there. I said that Trump would be better for the border, but if Trump really was concerned about the border, he would have supported this bill and not told people not to vote for it.
Yeah, and I think that someone who actually cares about the border and the American people.
It took 10 minutes to get right back where I said your position was the whole time. 10 minutes of you saying, no, that's not really my position, to get right back there. So great, I'm glad we wasted those 10 minutes. Okay, now that we're there, so then all of this hinges on whether or not this bill would have secured the border, correct? So let's say hypothetically, this bill would have actually made the border worse. Then would Trump be bad for the border for opposing it?
No, absolutely not.
Okay, so then when I say, fine, that's our area of disagreement. You think this bill would have been better for the border. I think it would have been worse. Let's get into the specifics of it. And you say, no, I'm unwilling to do that. Can you see why that debate's important in the context of this argument?
Yeah, and I actually do.
So then why do you refuse?
That now because... No, I see that now because now I can actually hear you because now we're talking about normally.
Well, this was the same argument that I was making from the outset.
Okay,
it was quite simple it was quite simple to see that my argument was, no, actually this bill would have been bad for the border. Okay, that's what I said from the get-go. And you said, I don't want to talk about it. Now you're ready to debate about this bill? You see the importance of debating about it in the context of this specific argument?
Well, yeah, now that I can talk to you and I can actually hear what you're saying.
But you could always talk to me and hear me. The audience could hear me. You could always hear. Everybody knew that 15 minutes ago, my objection to your claim was you were saying Trump said he cares about the border, but he was against this bill. And I said, yeah, because it was a bad bill. You heard that. The audience heard that. And you said, I refuse to talk about that bill. Why did you say you refused to talk about that bill if you couldn't hear me talk about why it's important to talk about it? Why did you ever say that?
Rob, we're having a conversation, okay?
That's right.
And it was back and forth, and it was... I'm sorry, I think my computer cut out. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, so I'm trying to get into a conversation. Like I said, I'm not an expert at this. I'm not used to like debating online or anything like that. So my main point was me saying that I didn't want to debate the bill is because that's not what I came on here to talk about.
But you're the one who made a declarative statement. You said, I think you are a propagandist because you put out a video saying if you care about the border, you should prefer Trump over Kamala. But that's not true because Trump was against this bill. And I say, yeah, but it was a bad bill. And you say, but I'm not prepared to debate that. You're the one who made the declarative statement. If I say Joe Biden doesn't care about teenage pregnancy because he voted against Bill H13, and you say, wait a minute, H13 had nothing to do about teenage pregnancy, and I say, I'm not prepared to talk about that, you would say, what the fuck is this joke? What are you talking about? You made the statement. You made the statement Biden doesn't care about teen pregnancy because of this bill. You should be prepared to talk about that bill then. Right?
Yeah, Rob. So my point is you're like narrowing down my point to one small thing. Okay?
I'm narrowing it down to the core component.
Yeah. So this is what I'm here to talk about. Okay. You say things, all right, on the internet. You say things and you say it very well and very eloquently, and in your high IQ or debate
don't have a
style or whatever. And people buy it. People understand that. And they're like, man, this does sound pretty good. And then Trump and Elon and Vivek, they say things that are the opposite of it. So, for example, with the IRS.
No, wait. I noticed that you're moving. I noticed that you're moving on. We're going to debate about the border bill now, the Langford bill, right? I noticed that you're moving on. You said that this was example one. Now, when I'm ready to prove that you're full of shit in example one, you're like, let's move to the IRS.
No, Rob, because that's what I came here to talk about, the overall hypocrisy of it.
So just hypothetically, if we move on to the IRS and I'm like, actually, let me disprove that. And you say, I don't want to talk about the IRS. Actually, I want to talk about H-1B. And I say, well, let me disprove that. And you say, well, I don't want to talk about H-1B. Actually, I want to talk about...
The components of my argument.
What you're doing is you're putting out a bunch of just surface level shit. You're saying, oh, well, you say X, but Trump says Y. And so therefore you're wrong and you're lying, or you're, whether willfully or not, you're not telling the truth, right? And I say, but actually you're wrong about Trump saying Y. Actually, this is what he said, or here's the good reasons he did it. And you say, I don't want to talk about that. Let's move on to the next thing. You say A, Trump says B. Actually, he didn't say B, he said A. Well, I don't want to talk about that. You say C, Trump said D. Actually, he didn't say D. Well, I don't want to talk about that. You just want to scattershot saying a bunch of shit, and every time I push back on every specific one, say, well, it's time to move on to something else? That's what you're saying?
No, because you see, and you're doing a good job of this. You're trying to control the flow of the debate. And the debate has nothing to do with the specifics on any of my examples.
It clearly has everything to do with the specifics. For example,
my examples are the larger part of my argument.
No, okay? Your examples
the larger part of the hypocrisy.
If you give 10 examples that prove your point and all 10 are wrong, then you didn't prove your point. You don't get to say, here's point one, and I say point one's wrong, and you say, I'm not prepared to talk about point one. Let's move on to point two, and I say point two's wrong. And you say, I'm not prepared to talk about point two. Let's move on to point three. You can't say, it's not hypocrisy if every specific example you give is wrong, and you're unwilling to talk about the examples.
Okay, we can come back and talk to the examples after I make the point.
So your point is you're perceiving that Trump says one, I say one thing and Trump does another, and that's hypocrisy. Yes. And example one is border security. And example two is IRS. Keep going. Go with your example.
Okay, and the next example was, let's see, I don't remember exactly what my other point was. Dang it, dude. I remember, I forgot what I wrote down. But those are good enough.
You wrote it down. How'd you forget?
No. I wrote it down on X.
Okay. Go to X and read it.
Yeah. Give me a second. Hey, calm down, Rob.
Don't tell me to calm down. It's my show.
You're yelling, dude. Relax.
That's how I talk. If you don't like it, you could leave. I enjoy this content. I'm thoroughly enjoying dog walking a fucking loser like you. I don't follow anyone, but I'm in the Taliban. I'm in the DGG, but I don't follow anyone. And
you're so upset. I'm gonna read it right now.
I'm not upset at all. I'm enjoying this thoroughly. I would stay on here and talk to you till 4 a.m. I love when arrogant people like you are tough guys on social media, and then it comes on and it shows that
there's no toughness.
Sure,
there's no toughness.
Sure, you just called me a propagandist.
Yeah, but why do you take it so negatively? Be calling you a propagandist?
Do you think there's a negative connotation to the term propagandist? Can you define what propagandist means?
Propagandist is a person who spreads misinformation, or he also, this is my own personal definition. I don't remember it off the top of my head, so a person that spreads misinformation. Yeah. And your question. Hold on, I'm not done yet, Rob. Misinformation or information that is like disinformation, or he passes actual true information, but then spins it to make it look like either a good thing or a bad thing for whatever he's opposed I'm sorry. I'm still.
So wait a minute. So your definition of, let me get this straight. You want to know why I have a negative reaction to be calling a propagandist. And your definition of the term propagandist is a person that spreads misinformation or disinformation or truthful information that wants to spin that to be good or bad.
Yes.
Okay, can you give me an example of any person that you're aware of that doesn't meet that category, that pontificates on any political or cultural issue? Can you give me one person that doesn't meet that definition?
doesn't spread misinformation or disinformation. So
No, no, no,
one's
no, 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 no.
perfect,
That
but-
wasn't. No, 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 no. That was not your definition. Let me repeat your definition.
Go ahead.
It had 3 parts. A propagandist is 1, a person that spreads misinformation, or, which means maybe you don't spread disinformation, but you could also be a propagandist. 2, if you spread disinformation, or that means you could still be a propagandist without spreading misinformation or disinformation, spreading truthful information, but putting a positive or negative spin on it.
Yes.
Can you name me one political commentator, streamer, media personality, etc.? Name me one that doesn't fit that definition.
I don't think I could give you an example of that because the media's just rotten.
You can't give me an example of any social media commentator, streamer, media member, journalist. You can't give one example.
No,
Okay,
I can't.
so then you've called me a propagandist. Would you be a propagandist?
I try not to be.
But you would be, right?
I would try my very hardest, and if I make a mistake or if I say something that isn't correct, I would apologize.
Okay, let's forget about that. Do you think so far the way you've articulated what you believe about Trump is truthful?
Yes.
Have you been putting a negative spin on what that means about Trump?
No, I'm just speaking facts.
No, that's not true. You're clearly saying that that's something negative about Trump.
What do you? Can you? I don't understand. What do you mean?
If a person was listening to what you're saying about Trump, would they think those are comments that are critical of Trump and that you're spinning those to look negative for Trump? You're saying these are reasons that we should be critical of Donald Trump?
Yeah, I would say that what I'm saying is a fact.
What you're saying is you feel that you're giving truthful information, but you're putting a spin on it that makes it look negative for Trump.
No.
Yes, that's exactly what you're doing.
No, it's not. I'm just
if you weren't, you would just say Trump said X, Y happened. You wouldn't say that makes you a propagandist. Are you going to apologize to your audience? Blah, blah, blah. All of that stuff is you then spinning to meet what you want to do, which is put a negative connotation on me and Trump. That's what you're doing. By your own definition, you are a propagandist.
No, absolutely not.
Yes, you are. You're putting a negative spin on me and Donald Trump based on what you think we're saying.
Rob.
You said your definition of propagandist, you literally said it doesn't even have to be a negative spin. I could say, I think that Joe Biden did a good job handling COVID because the facts show that we had one of the fastest recoveries out of any nation in the world. And that's really good
that
for
would
Biden.
Be spin. That would be spin.
That would be spin. And that would make me a propagandist, even if what I'm saying is truthful. According to your definition.
It just depends on what your end goal is.
Well, what do you,
right?
So wait. That wasn't in your original. Show me in your original definition of propagandist where having an end goal has anything to do with your definition. You were quite clear.
Rob, we're having a conversation. You're going to unearth things as we speak.
So wait, so I just want to be clear. Your argument now is when you gave your definition of propagandist, it was not a full definition. You have more to say.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop. I'm going to leave you give a full and all-encompassing definition of the term propagandist. When you are finished with that definition, you say that is it.
Rob.
No. The definition of the term propagandist that you're using has to be a stable definition. It can't be an open-ended definition that is, well, I could change the meaning of that definition as our conversation goes. So what I did was you said a person that spreads misinformation, and I started to speak up and you said, let me finish. So I let you finish, and then I talked about problems with your definition, and now you're saying, actually, my definition is ever expanding. It will change as the conversation continues. So in order to avoid that and the accusation that I somehow cut you off, I'm going to give the floor to you to give a whole definition of what the term propagandist is. When you're done with that definition, you could say, and that's it, I am finished. That is the definition. What is the definition of the word propagandist? Go ahead.
Robert, I know that you want to control the way that I talk and put me in boundaries and lock me into positions and instead of having a conversation, but that's not what I'm doing here.
I don't give a shit what you think you're doing here. If I call you something, if I say you are a racist and you say, okay, can you define what racist is for me? And I say, no, I'm just going to keep changing the definition as the conversation goes on. You don't think you would have the right to say, you've accused me of being something. I would like you to explain what the definition of that is. You would be okay with that? And I would just say, whatever you're doing the rest of the way through the conversation, I'll just say, yep, that's proof that you're racist. And you'll say, well, why? And I'll say, well, the conversation will evolve. And I'll change my definition of race. I'll guarantee this. At the end of the day, you're going to be a racist. I'll make sure that the final word I have is, at the end of all of this, yep, what you did was be a racist. And you would say, but that's bullshit. If I accuse you of being something, I should be able to define what that is. You don't say, well, it's an ambiguous definition that will change as the conversation goes on.
No, that's absolutely wrong. So this is how it would work,
true.
right? So me and you would have a conversation, okay? And then as we're discussing it, like let's say that you try to change the definition of racism in your example, like let's say you try to add to it, then I would just poke holes in it.
That's exactly what I'm doing with you. You gave the definition.
Okay, so let's do it.
Okay, you gave the definition of propagandist that said a person who spreads misinformation or disinformation or truthful information and puts a positive or negative spin on it. I articulated to you how that would mean you're spreading what you consider to be truthful information. I disagree, but you think it's truthful, but you're putting a negative spin on it because you're using it to negatively criticize me or Trump. That would mean you're spreading propaganda. You say no, because now there's more to the definition, which is depends on what your end goal is. I'm saying that's you changing the definition.
Okay, yeah, man. Like I gotta say, you're really good at being me. You make all my arguments for me, man. I really like it. Should I ask you more questions about myself? Hey, how old are you, Neo?
So if I ask you, so this is the equivalent of what I'm saying. What did I say there that was inaccurate?
I can tell because, like I said, and I'm going to state it again, okay? We're having a conversation, right? And if you don't like something or you disagree with something that I'm saying, you could very easily, in front of your audience, poke a hole in it. Okay?
I just did.
I don't have to be locked in. I don't have to be locked in. I don't have to be locked in to your definition of something.
I just did that. I just poked a hole in your definition, and your defense to that is, why don't you tell me what I think? I just did. I accurately...
That's not even what I said.
It is what you said. That's exactly what you said. I accurately went through. I accurately repeated what your definition of propagandist was.
According to who?
What's that?
Accurately according to who?
Accurate according to everyone that says, okay, what part of it? So let's go through it. We'll go step by step now. Now you're saying I didn't accurately quote what you said the definition of propagandist was. That's your argument.
That's not what I said. You're doing
so then when I said I accurately quoted what your definition of propagandist was, and you said accurate according to who? According to you.
That's not Rob. Rob, please stop. Please stop. You're more intelligent than this. You're more intelligent.
No. I'm exactly as intelligent as I seem.
Okay.
You're disingenuous, bad faith, and not very intelligent.
No, it's not. Rob, I can agree and disagree with you on facts, okay? I'm having a conversation with you,
right?
Okay? Back and forth. If you think that me adding that, depending on the end result of your propaganda, that will change whether it's propaganda or not, then you just fucking say it, Rob.
I'm saying that is a change in your definition. You gave a definition. You could just say that. I did say that. I did say that. Yes. And your defense of that is, why don't you tell me what I think? I'm accurately depicting what you said. You gave an encompassing definition of the term propagandist, and then I described how exactly what you're doing right now is propaganda. And then you added to the definition. And then when I pointed, and you said, if you have a problem with that, poke holes. So I poked holes and said, see, you're doing exactly what you said I could criticize. If you add to the definition, I could criticize it. Now I'm criticizing it. And your defense to that is, why don't you tell me what I think? Which is non-responsive.
Rob, you're smarter than this. You know that I was just fucking joking around.
Your appeals to authority, your appeals to sort of arrogance saying you're smarter than this is a non sequitur. It has nothing to do with this occurring. It's just more evidence. It's more evidence that you don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Robert, what's a non sequitur?
It doesn't apply from one thing to the next. It doesn't linearly follow.
Okay, I understand.
It would be like if you said, Rob, you're a propagandist, and I said, actually, I think the Lions will win the Super Bowl. Non sequitur. Has nothing to do with the claim that you made.
Okay. All right. I understand now.
You didn't understand. Was that a gotcha, or you legitimately didn't know what the word non sequitur
means?
No,
I didn't know. I told you, this is the first time I'm doing this.
But does that have anything to do? You changed the definition. Anyways, to get back to the term propaganda. So now the reason you didn't want to talk about the specifics, you've given 2 examples, and that's all you could remember of me saying one thing and then Trump doing the other, and that is the IRS and border security.
Yeah, the IRS, border security. There's one other thing I can't.
Okay.
I literally I'm trying to have
H-1B. Is that what the other thing was?
Yeah. That's what it was. That's what
Okay.
it was. I'm sorry.
So do you have any more examples?
I mean, there are tons of examples, right? So
Go ahead.
Trump also said at one point that he was pro-life, but now he wants to leave it up to the states. So
Okay.
he like plays both sides of the coin, right?
Okay.
So you have your
let's
hardcore
write these down. Let's write these
evangelicals.
down. So we got
You
border.
have your hardcore. Go ahead and write it
Okay.
down. I'll
Yeah,
continue to talk a
border,
little bit.
IRS,
So you have your hardcore evangelicals, right?
H1.
Who are all about a life and protecting life. And then Trump, he says, hey, man, let's leave it up to the states. So he doesn't really care, right? And back in the 80s, Trump was pro-choice. And he was a Democrat.
Okay.
So my point is that
80s Democrat.
he doesn't care. He doesn't care about one point or the other. All he cares about is winning. That's number one. How he looks, okay, in the public, that people love him, okay? So if the border, like if there are people leaking in through the border and murdering Americans, if stopping that before he gets elected is going to
You're going back to previous examples.
Care.
You're going back to previous examples. Any more examples? I've came up with 5. You've said border security, IRS, H-1B, he's pro-life, and he was an 80s Democrat. Any more examples?
I mean, there are so many because he talks.
Let's go.
Both
Keep
sides
going.
of his
Keep
mouth.
going with your examples.
I mean, I would have to think about it.
Now's your chance. Now's your chance. Because here's what's going to happen. I'm going to go through these one by one and prove that you're wrong. And then you're going to say, I don't want to talk about them one by one. There's other examples. So I want you to get it off your chest now. Get all the examples out there. Then we're going to go through them one by one. Get them out there.
Yeah, I think 5 is good enough. We can start.
Okay, let's start. First one you said was border. Can we talk about that finally?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, so your argument is Trump isn't better for the border than Kamala because he was against.
No, that's not my point.
The video I put out said if you're concerned about border security, you should vote for Trump over Kamala. Correct?
That wasn't my point.
What? So what was your point?
My point is that he doesn't actually care about border security. If he did, he would do anything in his power, even if.
What does that have to do with my video? What does that have anything to do with? I asked you why I was a propagandist, and you said, well, because I watched this video where you said if you care about border security, you should vote for Trump over Kamala.
Me watching that video, because you continuously interrupt me, you don't let me finish my thoughts, okay? I just used that video of an example of one of the videos, because you did like a series of 6 or 7, I believe, and you went through like
13
hey,
I did.
Yeah, I'm sorry, 13. 13 of why certain people should vote for Trump,
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. So did you do one about Puerto Ricans? Why they should vote for both?
Yes, I believe so. Yes.
You did. I think I watched that one.
Okay.
And I didn't watch them all, but I kind of just watched the one that applied.
And what
to
were
me.
the context of those videos? It was why you should vote for Trump over the other person, correct?
Yeah, it was a while since I watched it, but I'll take your word for it.
Yes. Why you should vote for Trump. That's what
Yeah.
I did a live stream, and I was like, I'm going to come up with every group that I could think of and say why you should vote for Trump. Why people with disabilities should vote for Trump. Why women should vote for Trump. Why pro-life people should vote for Trump. Why Puerto Ricans should vote for Trump. Why Christians should vote for Trump. Yeah, that was the point of all of those videos.
Yep.
Okay.
And then my point, So my point is, and I actually agreed with the one with Puerto Ricans, and I think that might have been one of the first videos that I watched of yours.
Okay.
And I started watching more often.
Okay.
But
What
the
does
thing
it?
is,
What
like,
does? So what? So then, the first question I have, the context of you bringing this up was me asking the question, "How am I a propagandist?" And you said you're now acknowledging, correct, that the point of that video on the border specifically was why to vote for Trump as opposed to Kamala. Correct? You're agreeing.
I didn't watch that video specifically, but yeah, I'll take your word for it. Yep.
You literally started off saying that you watched that video.
No, I just.
So you never. So wait.
I just said that I watched the one that applied to me. I literally just said that.
So now,
Bob.
okay. So when you originally said, I watched this video of saying why people concerned about border security should vote for Trump, that was a misstatement. You just saw a title, but you didn't watch the video.
Yeah. I didn't watch the video. I
Cool.
watched the one that applied to me.
So now I'm a propagandist because you didn't even watch the video. In fact, the video you watched, you agreed with me, correct?
The one with Puerto Ricans, yeah.
Yes. Okay, so you watched one video of mine and agreed with it. But you saw the title of another video, didn't watch the video, but based on the title of that video are willing to call me a propagandist.
Yep, absolutely. And now I can explain to you why if you give me 30 seconds.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so what I'm looking at is, I'm looking at this from a regular dude's point of view, okay? I see a border in crisis, supposedly, right? They're saying it's going crazy. But then when we pass a bill that could help, even if it helps by 1%, even if it helps by 0.5%, right? You want to stop that crazy border, those crazy people, all this crazy illegal immigration killing people. Even if you save one life, I would pass a bill. And then once I get in office, I would pass a better, stronger bill. Because all I care about as an American is saving, even if it's one life, I would do anything in my power to make that border better. If it is as bad as you
have
think.
no idea what my argument was, though. You didn't watch the video.
No, I did.
So you have no idea what my argument was. Your argument is you believe so strongly that this was a good border bill that just seeing the title of a video.
I didn't say it was a good border bill, Rob. You said that. I said that even if it helps one person.
Define the word good. Define the word good.
If it's I don't know what you're saying when you
define the word.
That border bill.
So then when you're screaming, I didn't say it was a good border bill, you have no clue what I mean by good. You're saying that it's a bill. When I say good border bill, I'm saying that you're saying this is a bill that should have been passed. It was good.
Yeah.
It was better than the status quo.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. You're saying that because this was a bill that should have been passed and Trump advocated against it, that merely seeing the title, people concerned with the border should vote for Trump, makes me a propagandist.
Yes.
Okay. First off, will you agree that the election was a binary decision between Trump and Kamala Harris?
Yes.
Okay, so even if you think that it was bad for Trump to do this, if he would be better on the border than Kamala, despite that, then I still wouldn't be a propagandist by saying that.
It depends because I don't believe that he would be because he doesn't care about
the border. That's your belief. That's your belief. That might be your belief, but you could say that there are many things that go into someone's position on a specific issue, such as the economy. Such as the economy,
the border bill that will save one life, if there's a border bill that will save one life, or deport one criminal, it's better than what we have right now.
Was the executive orders that Trump had that the Harris-Biden administration immediately rescinded, saving one life?
That's not what I'm talking about.
Well, you just said, the argument is, you've admitted that it was a binary choice between Trump and Kamala. You said the one thing Trump did, all you care about is, could it have saved one life? He was against it, therefore he wouldn't be preferable over the border. Now I'm being comparative. I'm saying, okay, well, Trump's border was much better. He had a much more secure border, which the Democrats, which Harris and Biden literally gleefully, immediately on day one, rescinded those orders and bragged about the fact that they were doing it. Did those orders save one life?
No, they actually cost lives.
So Trump's executive orders cost lives. Can you explain how?
No, I didn't say Trump's. I said them rescinding Trump's.
Oh, okay.
Border.
My mistake.
Yeah.
So so then which costs more lives? Trump refusing to embrace the Langford bill or the rescinding of Trump's executive orders? Which costs more lives?
That doesn't make any sense.
Why doesn't it make sense?
That's not what I'm arguing.
That is what you're arguing. You just said that it's a binary choice between Trump and Kamala. Now we're talking about the policies that Kamala and Biden did versus the policies that Trump did or did not do. You're saying that policy that Trump didn't do, which was endorsing this border bill, could have cost lives. You're also saying that the policy that Harris and Biden did do, rescinding these orders, also cost lives. So if we're trying to figure out which is preferable, wouldn't we try to figure out which one costs more lives?
No.
Why?
No,
then how do you determine which one's preferable?
It's very simple. Okay, I'm not arguing that that Kamala and Biden are preferable when it comes to the border.
Yes, you are. You already admitted.
That's not my argument.
That's
Rob,
bullshit.
You're not even letting me talk. My argument is that if you actually care about the border, okay, you're not in power, so you can't put all of those things back in, right? You can't bring in all of those orders that Biden and Kamala took away. You can't do that because you're not in power, right? So if I actually cared about the border and I wasn't in power, then what I would do is tell my people in Congress, hey, this is better than nothing. Okay, there are people dying.
You can't even logically follow your own argument. Did you or did you not admit that you said you didn't watch my video, that you agreed that my video was basically saying, based on the context of the video, you said why you should prefer Trump over Kamala, and you admitted that it was binary choice. It was either Trump or Kamala. Will you admit to all of that?
Yeah, that has nothing to do with my argument.
Yes, it does. For example, could I think, let's say I think if you're concerned about massive government spending, you should vote for Trump over Kamala, right?
No, that would be wrong. But okay.
Let's say I put a video that says that, right? Yeah. And I say in that video, Trump's actually terrible for massive government spending. In fact, when he was there, he spent massive amounts at a higher clip than Obama. But Kamala Harris and Biden spent even more and will spend even more. And so even though Trump's bad on government spending, if you're concerned about it because it's a binary decision, you should vote for Trump over Kamala. Would that make me a propagandist?
In that specific example, if you're just stating facts and you're saying, hey, that's kind of difficult for me to pinpoint. Like, I'm not really 100% sure on that.
Let's go back. Will you admit that it's a binary election?
Yes, it's a binary election.
Let me ask you this. Let's take a different tactic. Did you vote?
Yeah, I did.
Do you mind telling us who you voted for?
I voted for Kamala.
Did you agree with every policy that she suggested? Or did you think there were some things you didn't like at all about her, I'm assuming?
No, there's a lot of things I don't like.
Right. And yet that doesn't mean that you would be a hypocrite or a propagandist for voting for her based on those things that she endorsed that you didn't like. You just thought she was better than Trump.
I wouldn't even say that. Better, it's subjective. I think that I would like the end result.
How did you make the decision who to vote for? You thought one person was better than the other.
Yeah, so there's a lot of like the personal stuff with Trump that I completely hate.
So you're saying, but nonetheless, whether it be personal foibles, behaviors, policy, whatever, you thought one person was better than the other.
Yes.
You voted for the person you thought was better.
Yes.
Despite that, that doesn't mean you endorse or agree with everything that person suggests.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Having said that, then, when we're talking about this hypothetical economic spending argument, right? If I said both are bad on government spending, but I think Trump would be better, that wouldn't make me a propagandist for saying that.
No, it just depends on the end result of what you're trying to do.
What
right?
are you talking about? The end result is I want Trump to win.
Yeah, so you want Trump to win,
yes.
But is Trump is he actually likely to spend less?
Yes, than Kamala, he absolutely would be.
Yeah, I just don't believe that.
But again, that's, first off, you're just fucking crazy if you don't believe that, right? Kamala, for example, endorsed the Green New Deal, which would have spent trillions upon trillions. The Democrats spend more than Republicans.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do. Biden spent at a bigger clip despite the fact that Trump had an emergency pandemic.
Didn't Trump spend more than almost every other president combined?
Previously, yeah. I believe that Joe Biden, though, outpaced that. And even if he didn't, even if it was close, Trump literally was there during this pandemic, which Democrats wanted to spend even more than Trump ended up signing off on. Though I did heavily criticize Trump for the amount that he spent, even before the pandemic. But Democrats and Kamala and Biden were spending more and would have spent more. And so you saying, well, I just don't know about it. What I'm saying is, even if I think both are poor on a specific issue, I'm not a propagandist for saying, well, despite the fact I think both are bad, I think this one's better than the other on this issue. You saying, well, it depends what your end goal is. Well, would you acknowledge that it seems likely that my end goal was I wanted people to vote for Trump?
Yeah, I believe that that's what you wanted.
So then let's assume that is what I wanted, which it is what I wanted, which you could see I did those videos live and I acknowledged that was the entire point of it, trying to drive out the point to vote for Trump. In fact, that's what I had been doing for 3 months going into the election. The whole point was to drive people out to vote for Trump and Republicans. So I wasn't shady with my motivations. So now that you know or hidden with my motivations. So now that you know what my motivations were, would I be a propagandist?
It depends on the specific example, but I think in general, Rob, just 1 second. I think in general, you're pretty good faith, but then there's certain things that you kind of have to toe the line on. You know what I mean?
No.
Like I mean, obviously, you know that Trump is. the border example is just it's so clear. Okay.
We'll get to the border example, but I had to do this hypothetical example to lead a horse to water here, because the end result is you didn't even watch the video. You have no idea what I said. You're just looking at it in a vacuum. You're saying, if this guy was going to be better on the border than Kamala, he would have endorsed this bill. And that could have saved even one life. Therefore, you're a propagandist for suggesting he would have been better than Kamala on that issue. And I say, no. But didn't Kamala and Biden rescind Trump's executive orders? And you're like, yeah. And I'm like, couldn't that have cost lives? And you're like, yeah. And I was like, then shouldn't we compare which one hypothetically costs more lives? Trump refusing to endorse the Langford bill or the actual rescinding of Trump's executive orders? And you say, no, there's no need to compare. But what we're doing, you've just acknowledged with this entire hypothetical, it wouldn't be propaganda if we're saying, even if both are poor, we're trying to think which one would be better. How would we decide which one would be better if we don't look at the policies that they're prescribing or that they did and see what the effects of them were?
Yeah. So I think we're speaking past each other, right? So my example with the border, just 1 second.
I'm speaking directly to you.
Okay. Yeah. So my point is with the whole border thing is that you can't trust Trump. He doesn't care about you. He doesn't care about me.
Can you trust Kamala? Can you trust Kamala?
Yeah, because actually you make a good point, right? Because when they you said that when they rescinded those border things, they literally said, and they were bragging about it, right?
Correct.
Okay, so they're being obvious about it. They're telling the truth.
No, because their position in 2024 was, we care about the border. We care about securing it. And now you're saying, but they were telling you in 2021, we don't. We actually want to rescind this and we want to let all these people in. So in 2021, they said they were happy. Let me see. But you're acknowledging that's what happened. So
I don't know for certain.
Okay, do you know for certain that the Harris-Biden administration's take on the border was it was completely acceptable, not a crisis in 2021?
Well, I would have to go back and look at it, but I'm.
Well, what do you mean you have to go back? They rescinded the orders.
But I just don't know what their exact reasoning was for it. Like,
okay,
I know
that so again, isn't it amazing? So you don't even know what they were saying about the border in 2021. You'd have to look at it, you say.
Yeah, I would have to look at the specifics. Rob, I can't remember every single border bill and every word that Kamala
it has nothing to do with the border bill. Do you not remember that Kamala and the Democrats and Biden were saying, oh, they're exaggerating about the border. It's not that bad. It's not a crisis.
I know. I've seen like a meme clip of Kamala saying "Do not come," and then you have like Trump saying,
"Okay,
oh,
let's try a different tack." Do you think that the number of people crossing the border in 2021 was a crisis?
In my personal opinion, the border needs to be fixed. I do believe it's a crisis. Yeah.
Okay, so you believe it was a crisis in 2020. How about 2022?
Oh wait, 2020. Wait, that's COVID, right?
COVID started in 2020.
Yeah, you know what? Back then, yeah, I would still say it's a crisis. Yeah.
Okay, so you think it was
a crisis because the border's unregulated.
Cool. You think it was a crisis in Harris Biden's first year, 2021? Do you think it was a crisis in 2022?
The whole time they were in office, the whole time.
So you do think it was in 2022? Do you think it was a crisis in 2023?
23, 24, yeah.
Okay, can you tell me what policies that Harris Biden put forth to secure the border in 2021?
So I understand what you're trying to get at, Rob. Okay. The thing is that you can't believe what Trump says.
No. We'll table that. Can you believe what Kamala says? Because it's binary. So if Kamala's saying in 2024, oh yeah, we need to secure the border, what did she say or do in 2021 when you're acknowledging it was a crisis? What did her and Biden do in 2021?
But yeah, so like I said, I don't remember specifically, but from what you said,
well, they rescinded a bunch of orders to let more people in, right?
And they were bragging about it. And they said they wanted people.
Correct. Well, they were bragging that they rescinded the orders.
So they were bragging.
Yes, they publicly acknowledged when they were running and once they won that one of the first things they were going to do on day one was rescind these orders, which they did, like 100 of them.
So they said something and then they did it.
Correct.
Okay, so Trump.
And then what was the result of that? We had crisis numbers.
Yeah.
So what did they
crisis
do?
numbers,
What policies? What did they do? So did they think it was a crisis? You did. Did they?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. But
They did. They thought it was a crisis.
okay. Who thought there was a crisis?
Did Harris,
and
did
Biden?
Kamala and Biden think it was a crisis in 2020?
No, I don't think so because
They
said
did.
they were like bragging about it. And they thought it was a
Okay.
good
So
thing.
they didn't. Did they think it was a crisis in 2022?
I don't think so.
Did they think it was a crisis in 2023?
I'm not. Yeah, I don't think so either.
Did they think it was a crisis in the election year of 2024?
I don't know if they said it was a crisis, but they did want to like probably for political reasons wanted to like help out with the border.
Last
maybe close it
question.
down.
Were
Yeah.
there more people coming to the border in 2024 than 2023?
More people in 24?
Yes. That's the
I'm not
question.
sure. I'm not sure, Rob.
Well, they publicly said that the numbers were down.
Oh, okay.
So if they didn't think it was a crisis when the numbers were higher in 21, 22, 23, and they didn't do anything about it, in fact, the opposite, they rescinded orders that allowed it to become crisis numbers. And all of a sudden in 2024, when there's less people coming, they say, trust us, we care about securing the border. Why should we believe them?
Because they told the truth in 21 when they said we were going to rescind those orders and let people
That has
in and brag
nothing to
about
do.
it.
No. But they're changing their position. In 2024, they're saying we have the opposite position. We don't want all these people coming in an election year. Which, by the way, you just said the key part. You just said the key part. Probably for political reasons. So, given that you literally said that, why should we believe Kamala Harris?
Well, that's the exact point that I'm making about Trump.
No. But you've acknowledged that it's binary. No, you've acknowledged that it's binary, that it's Trump versus Harris. So if your argument is, yeah, we can't trust either, and you didn't even watch my video, how can you say I'm a propagandist?
I didn't say we can't trust either. I didn't say that.
Okay, you said we can't trust Trump.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now I've led you to the water on Harris. They publicly said, yay, we're rescinding the orders. We want these people we don't have a problem with these people coming in. And you said, wow, even in 2021, I saw that was a crisis. In 2022, I saw that was a crisis.
I did not see that was a crisis.
That's what you said.
No. I said, do you think there was a crisis? And I said, it's being reported. Like, that's what the right-wing media was saying.
You said, and I quote, I think it was.
I may have said that, actually.
Yes, you did say that.
Me personally.
Yes.
But what I'm saying
so you thought it was a crisis in 2021, 2022, 2023, and 2024. Yeah, they either didn't think it was a crisis or they didn't do anything about it. They rescinded these orders. They saw that the numbers spiked way up. They saw how high those numbers were in 2021, did nothing. Saw how high they were in 2022, did nothing. By the way, with the flick of a pen, they could have reinstated those executive orders without Congress. They chose not to. In 2023, they did nothing. Then in 2024, when the numbers were lower than they were in 2023 and 2022, they said, all of a sudden, yeah, it's a problem. We need to secure the border. Why should we trust them?
Okay, so 2 quick points. Just real quick. So in 2020, the reason that it was so low is because of COVID. Everybody knew.
Why was it so low in 2019, 2018, 2017?
Well, it was lower, but it wasn't as low as 2020 once
you sure about that?
Got kicked in.
You sure about that?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, yeah.
If I look this up and it turns out that the border crossings in 2017 were lower than 2019, what are you going to say? You going to apologize? Are you going to admit that your argument's fallacious?
No, absolutely. If I make a mistake, I'm going to go ahead and admit it.
But you have no
apologize.
fucking clue. You have no clue. You're talking out your ass.
No. From what I'm remembering, I don't have, like I said, I don't have a photographic memory. I think that when COVID hit, the numbers did come down.
Your argument is that the reason the numbers were low in 2020 was because of COVID.
Part of the reason.
Part of the reason. So that would imply that in a year like 2019, they would have been higher. Or I'm sorry, 2017, 2018, 2019.
They would be higher than 2020?
Yes. Because they were artificially low. You were saying
that would make sense to me, yes.
Okay, so we're going to look. So we're going to look 2020.
Yeah.
Border crossing. I'll bring it up on. Maybe you're right. Let's
bring
it
it
up.
Like I said,
right. You're talking out your ass. You don't know. That's exactly.
Oh my God, Robert! I said it would make sense that it would be lower in those years.
No. But you're saying it was lower. Just saying, I would guess it would be lower those years.
I said I would imagine so.
So
that's what I said.
Border Encounters 2020. We have October. We have, let's see. I don't know why it starts in October, but 35,000, total 400,000. Previous year.
What year was that?
That was 2020.
Okay.
Let me see. Wait a second.
Border encounters?
Here we go. Here's the chart. Border total apprehensions inadmissibles. 977,000 for 19. 18, 520,000. 17, 415. 20.
And then in 2020, what was that number again?
2020, the number I see is 400,000 plus 57,000. So 457,000.
So I mean, so it was lower than maybe 1 or 2
Right.
years?
2017,
Okay.
It appears it was lower.
All right. So
So
I
what
mean,
does that argument have to do with anything then?
That was just a Robert. Like you're clearly.
You made that
clearly
argument
right.
for a reason. Well, the reason the border crosses were low under Trump was because of COVID. But that doesn't seem to be the case. The numbers were pretty historically low under Trump even before COVID.
Well, yeah, and that's because of the climate, like how Trump was very anti-immigration. How
His
he wanted
policies
to
led to less
his policies.
a more secure border. Sure.
Yeah, his policy. Hold on a second. So, did he have the power back then when he was president to like close the border and make sure that we didn't have any?
He issued executive orders like remain in Mexico, etc. That led to
but did he like stop the border crossings or not?
He massively
400,000 seems pretty high.
Maybe so, but it was massively lower than it had been, and certainly massively lower than it was under Biden. Come on.
Was it massively lower than under Barack, the porter in chief? Sir?
Let's see. I'm gonna have to do some math.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought my microphone died or something.
17. Here's the chart. So this goes from 17 to 12. So you can see 17. Once Trump gets in, that's this light blue line. See how it dips massively?
I'm not looking at the screen. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Let me look at it real quick.
So for fiscal year 17, Trump's gets sworn in January. And you can see that those numbers dip lower than they were under every Obama year.
Okay, every Obama year?
Yes.
Okay.
So he gets sworn in January. February, you can see that they're down to, you're looking at numbers, 23,000 in February, 16,000 in March, 15,000 April, 19,000 in May, 21,000 June, 25,000 July, 30,000 August, 31,000 in September. Every one of those months is lower than the previous 4 years under Obama.
Okay. All right. Hey, like I said, I wasn't 100% sure. I was just asking a question.
Okay. So we're talking about one specific issue. I put out a video that says Trump would be better on the border than Kamala. We could see that under Trump's administration, border crossings were at very lows, much lower than Obama, and then they spike up under Kamala and Biden. And one of the reason they spike up is right out of the gate, they rescind all of Trump's executive orders. Then the numbers
which he admitted to and bragged about.
Correct. Okay.
Yep.
Now we're in a binary choice, and we're saying who would be better for the border. And you're saying, but I don't trust Trump. Okay, but do you trust Kamala?
You see, that binary choice that you're making, that's not the argument I'm making.
That is exactly what you've already conceded. You've already conceded. Your argument was that I am a propagandist because I put out a video saying Trump would, if you're concerned about border security, you should prefer Trump under Kamala. Your argument was that that's propaganda because if Trump was concerned about the border, he would have pushed for the Langford bill. And I say, but wait a minute. If Kamala was concerned about border security, I say, isn't it a binary choice? It was either Trump or Kamala. Yeah. And I said, so even if Trump's bad on the border, bad on the economy, bad on inflation, whatever, if he's better than Kamala, it wouldn't be propaganda to say you should prefer him if you care about that issue. You eventually conceded that would be the case. Then I said, okay, well, why don't we look at the record? Why should we trust that Kamala would be good on border security when she has a track record of 4 years of being so abysmal, and then at the very last moment says, oh, trust me, I care about border security. And your only argument is, yeah, but I don't trust Trump on border security.
Robert, you're literally arguing against yourself.
No, I'm not.
Because my point is that Trump is a snake. You can't trust him.
Okay.
And everything he says, let's
redo this line of questioning again. You ready? Okay, I'm a propagandist because you read a video title that said, if you're concerned about border security, you should vote for Trump, not Kamala. That makes me a propagandist. You didn't watch the video. You just saw the title of the video.
Yeah, I mentioned that.
And your
yeah,
argument is Trump's a snake. Is it possible to prefer a snake over a bigger snake?
That's the thing. I don't believe she's a bigger snake.
Okay, so then the way we would decide who's a bigger snake is to compare them.
Yeah, so this is the comparison.
And so one of the things we would do is compare their records.
Yeah, I would. And what I'm saying is the Kamala, and I'm taking your word for this. Not Kamala. Biden at the time. He said, "Hey, I'm going to go ahead and lift these border orders or whatever you want to call them, and I'm going to let these people in, and I'm going to brag about it." He told the truth. He did it.
It's not that he bragged about leaving the people in. He said that these border orders were inhumane and we're going to lift them. And Kamala said the same thing. And then they bragged about first day in office, we're going to do it. And then they did it.
Okay. So they said something and they did it, right?
Correct.
Can we agree to that? Okay. So then Trump does things, and like I said, give you multiple examples, and then he doesn't do them. That's border wall. He said he was going to build a border wall. He didn't build a border wall. He said Mexico was going to pay for it. Mexico didn't pay for it. He says things.
So, okay, so I just want to be clear. So your argument would be akin to this. If Trump comes into office and says, I'm going to completely take away everyone's Social Security, and then he does, and then 4 years later he's running for office and he says, I respect Social Security so much, unlike my opponent, I'll make sure that not a dime ever gets taken from any of you. You would say, I believe him. Because 4 years ago, when he had the exact opposite opinion, he went through with it. You would say, yep, he went through with it. Therefore,
absolutely not.
Well, okay, that's the exact argument you're making with Harris Biden. You're saying, I believe them. I believe them because they bragged, oh, we're going to rescind these border orders. And then they did. And then the border became a crisis. And so 4 years later, when they said, we're going to be tough on the border, I believe them because they were honest about having policies that would open the border for 4 years.
Yeah, but give or take.
That's so fucking stupid. Right,
right. So
Thank you for admitting that's your policy.
And then they do it. They say something and they do it.
So then if Trump said, I'm going to remove Social Security and then did it, and then found out in an election year 4 years later that was unpopular and said, I promise I would never touch your Social Security, my opponents would do that, you would say, I believe him.
Can you say that again?
Yes. If Trump ran on the promise of, I promise to take away all of your Social Security, then he wins, then he doesn't, then he finds out that policy is massively unpopular as he's running 4 years from now. And so 4 years later, he completely does a 180 and says, I would never touch your Social Security. I'm going to make sure that you all get every penny of it. You would say, I believe him.
No, because he lied originally.
No, he didn't. He told the truth.
Yeah.
He said,
he said, I'm going to take away your Social Security.
And then he
didn't.
He did.
He did.
Yes.
Oh yeah. I would believe him. Yeah.
You're a fucking idiot. You're an idiot. You're an idiot.
It would be more.
You're an idiot.
It would be more believable because he actually follows through. He follows through with what he says.
You're a propagandist. You're an idiot. Your argument is if someone. So what exactly changed that all of a sudden you believe that Biden Harris care about the border when they specifically ran on, we're going to do policies that would obviously open up the border, then watched the border open up to crisis levels, did nothing for 3.5 years. What was exactly the change that caused them to all of a sudden do a 180? What was the change?
I don't think that they care about, I'm sorry. So my point is that they say something and then they do it.
No, they don't. There's all sorts of lies I could put. For example, remember when they
go ahead.
Okay, remember when they said vote for Biden, you'll get $1,500 checks? Did they? No, they sent like $900 ones. They said, well, you already got $600. That was a lie. Remember when they said they were going to forgive student loans? That was a lie. They didn't do that.
He tried his very best.
Did they? Well, Trump tried his very best. Trump tried his very best to have Mexico pay for the wall and to try to build the wall. Bullshit, he didn't.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did.
50 miles of border wall? You consider that crime?
Because Democrats literally shut down the government to try to stop it.
The Democrats shut down the government.
Yes, they did.
Oh,
they threatened to filibuster. They threatened to filibuster in the Senate to have one of the largest government shutdowns in history because they refused to give a few $1 billion for the border wall. They said it was racist. Then they ran Kamala Harris, whose party said that border walls were racist going into the 2020 election, ran on Building a border wall in 2024. Were they
I
honest? Are they telling the truth if they said it was racist in 2020? So now they're running on the promise of racism, of building a racist wall?
You see, Rob, like, I don't know how much of what you're saying is like fact and what is
that's
spin.
because you're grotesquely uninformed and a propagandist yourself.
It's not. You cannot expect everyone to remember everything everyone said at all times.
You don't know the bare minimum. And you
I do know the bare
deflect.
minimum.
No, you don't.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, did Democrats say the border wall was racist in 2020?
I don't recall if they did or not, but I would believe it.
You don't recall that. Then you don't know the bare minimum.
No, I would believe it. It makes sense because
did Democrats
they would make the argument that keeping people out because they would say that is their skin color and all this other stuff. So yeah, I would believe that.
Did Democrats threaten a filibuster because they refused to endorse the Republican House bill? I'm sorry, the bill that came out of the House because it had funding for a border wall.
Yeah, I believe I do recall that, but I don't remember the specifics of why they did that. What was their reason behind it?
Well, because they said the wall would be ineffective and was racist.
What do you want me to do? You want me to argue for something? Like I said,
so your argument is, so when I say Biden didn't give student loan forgiveness, you say, but he tried. And then I say, well, Trump tried to build the wall, but Democrats had a shutdown to prevent him from getting funding. And you say, no, he didn't. No.
Wait, didn't Trump have the House and the Senate his first 2 years?
Yes, his first 2 years, yes.
Yeah. So why he could have just done whatever he wanted?
No, that's not the way it works.
I mean, you can do a lot of stuff, man, with that.
Didn't Kamala Harris and Joe Biden have the House and Senate the first 2 years?
Yeah, I believe so.
Why didn't they get student loan forgiveness? Why didn't they get Medicare for all? Why didn't they get border security?
Very easily, I can answer those. The Supreme Court.
So the Supreme Court didn't allow them to do Medicare for all.
No, Medicare. I was talking about student loan forgiveness.
Did the Democrat Congress pass a bill
for what?
Student loan forgiveness.
I don't think so. So
what the Supreme Court said was that Biden couldn't unilaterally do that.
Yes.
So why didn't the Congress try to do something?
I'm sure the Congress did try to do something. I would have to.
Can you show me the bill? Cool. Show me the bill.
Yeah, I would have to look at it. I will have to look for it.
Sure.
Like I
said,
ahead.
Go ahead. Look it up. Look me the bill that was voted on by. Why didn't it pass if Democrats tried to do something? What kept them from doing it? You assume they tried. So what?
Yeah, I'm assuming. Like I said,
they tried. So what happened? So they had a bill. They're about to vote on it. They have the House. They have the Senate. What happened? What possibly could have happened? If they wanted to vote on it, why didn't they? What possibly could have happened?
So there's a couple things that could have happened, right? So they didn't have a large enough majority to pass it.
Okay, maybe they didn't. But wait, you didn't make that argument when it came to Trump in 2017 to 2018. You just said Republican. What was the Republican majority in the Senate in 2017, 2018?
I don't recall.
Oh, so you don't recall the Democrat majority, you don't recall the Republican majority, but you blame Trump for having the House and Senate and not getting things accomplished, but you don't blame Biden and Harris. And even though you don't recall what those majorities were in either of the administrations.
I'm sorry, I was looking something up. What did you just say? Say that one more time.
You blame Trump when he had the House and Senate in 2017, 2018 for not getting things accomplished. You do not blame Harris and Biden when they had the House and the Senate in 2021, 2022, even though you have no idea what those majorities were in either the Trump administration or the Biden administration.
Well, yeah, I don't blame the Biden-Harris administration because I don't know the specifics.
But you do know the specifics under Trump.
I don't know the specifics under Trump.
So you don't know the specifics under Trump. You don't know the specifics under Biden. You do blame Trump. You don't blame Biden.
Yeah. So what were the what were
you tell me? You're the one assigning blame. Go ahead.
Oh well, no. I mean, you do this for a living. I'm sure you.
What do you mean? Right? I do this for a living? It's a hobby. We've already established that. I work 80 hours a week doing home health care.
Yeah, but you do this a lot more than I do, right?
So you're the one making the declarative statement. You're blaming one and not the other.
A declarative statement means that I'm 100% sure on what I'm saying. I very clearly said I wasn't sure on the numbers.
So then why do you default to blaming one and not the other?
Because Trump has a track record of lying. being dishonest.
So does Biden.
And not doing.
Why did
Yeah,
Biden?
go ahead.
Okay. For example, when Biden was running for president in the 80s, why did he have to drop out?
Oh, we have to go back to the 80s? Why don't we just go here?
Because we could start early in Biden's political career to see he has a history of lying over and over and over and over and over again.
Okay, so I believe that he like copied someone else's.
He lied. He plagiarized a speech. Yeah.
Yeah, plagiarized. Yeah.
Okay.
He
So, for
plagiarized
example,
something.
when he said he would never pardon his son, did he lie?
Yeah.
When
did
he
lie.
said he would send $1,500 checks, did he lie?
He what? Say that one more time.
When he said he would send people $1,500 checks, did he lie?
No, because he tried. He sent out $900 ones.
That's not $1,500. He didn't even try to say $1,500.
Yeah, but he tried.
No, he didn't. Show me.
He did the best. He sent out.
Did Trump try to build the wall?
I honestly, he said that he would build the wall at 50. You know what? I will say, yeah. I guess he did try.
Okay, so he did try. So you now no longer criticize him.
No.
You want to go with more Biden's lies? Did Biden lie? Did Biden lie when he said that the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation?
Did he say that, or was that like the?
That's what he said in the debate. He said it's been reported that it was Russian disinformation. Was that a lie?
There was Russian disinformation on that laptop.
Oh, can you explain what that was?
So the laptop that Rudy, like the hard drive that Rudy had in his possession. Okay, so that one, it had been messed with. Like people had messed with it. There were like random pictures of like Hunter with like Melania Trump.
So they were fake. They were AI. They were fake Photoshop photos.
Yeah, there.
Can you show me a link to that?
Stuff.
Can you show me a link to that?
Yeah, I don't know how to do that real quick.
Just, what do you mean? You could literally tell me what to type. Tell me what the photoshopped photos of Hunter and Melania.
Yeah, just write that in.
Okay.
And it'll pop up. And you'll be able to see a photoshopped photo of like Hunter with Melania. And you'll see, I don't recall. It's been so long since I looked into it.
This is what I'm getting from Snopes. No, this pic doesn't show a shirtless Hunter Biden with Melania.
That was found on his laptop.
A photo supposedly showing U.S. President Joe Biden's son Hunter Biden posing shirtless with Melania, former President Trump's wife, resurfaced in July 22, shortly after users of anonymous interchat 4chan claimed to have hacked the young Biden's iCloud account. At least one tweet implied falsely. Like that. Okay, that's a lie. It doesn't show that, it says. Okay, so you're wrong. Snopes, which is bullshit, but they're saying, no, that's not true. It doesn't show that. There's no evidence
that didn't happen?
Yes. The claim that this is Hunter Biden's iCloud account was hacked in mid-July 2022, leaking images and other types of content involving him, remains unverified. That said, the above displayed picture did not originate with the purported leak, nor did it depict an authentic moment between Melania Trump and Hunter Biden. Rather, it was a composite image that has been online since at least 2020. The photo of Biden originally appeared online after the hard drive of a laptop said to belong to President's son was leaked in the New York Post. In the original picture, Hunter stood shirtless by himself. A photograph of Melania was taken in 2000. According to Getty Images, elements of these photographs were crop flipped and combined with Dr. Virgin resuffered in 2022. The original photo Melania showed her facing the camera over her left shoulder, while the composite image reversed that orientation. The above picture image left was split version of the original photograph in the FHM shoot to better match the viral image. Nowhere does this say that this picture came from that laptop. In fact, they're claiming that it actually came from an iCloud leak, which was the original story, and that's not true. Can you show me? So where is it that this came from the laptop? Can you show me that?
I might have seen that on Twitter, so I might be wrong.
So you might be wrong. So but you're confident that the laptop include Russian disinformation. So you're not positive about that. Okay, next, give me your next example of the laptop.
Yeah, I just have to look it up.
Sure, go for it. Are you sure you're not just getting that from Twitter and you can't verify it as well?
No, look, Rob, people aren't going to be like perfect 100% of the time.
But you're making the claim. I'm saying that this was a lie, that Hunter Biden's laptop was real, that the damning stuff that we saw from it, from photos of him with drug use, which I really don't care about, to the actual emails we always knew was true. In fact, we had his business partner who was on the recipient end of many of those emails, Tony Bobulinski, publicly confirmed, not just volunteering to report to the FBI, but actually publicly went on television after 51 former intel officials said this is Russian disinformation, said that's not true. I was involved in these conversations. I was in these email chains. These actually are accurate. So can you tell me which of those weren't accurate and were Russian disinformation?
Is that Bobulinski? Is that the guy that's in jail right now because he lied about all that stuff?
No.
Who's the guy who's in jail right now for making all that up?
Boy, you know a lot of Rachel Maddow talking points. There's a man by the name of Smirnov who was supposedly a confidential human source that claimed that $500,000 or $5 million was personally given to Hunter Biden and $500,000 or $5 million personally given to Joe Biden to force the firing of Viktor Shokin, a Ukrainian prosecutor. That story has nothing to do with any of the information that was on the Russian laptop. It was a completely separate claim.
Yeah, so that might be what I might be misremembering of getting.
Oh, okay. So that has nothing to do with the laptop. So can you tell me the Russian disinformation that was on the laptop?
Hold on, sir. I have to Google this.
You have no clue, is what you're saying. You have no clue. You're going to look up desperately to see what someone at CNN and try to spin it. The very propagandist. By the way, didn't you just say that you don't trust?
That's the difference between me and you. I'm not going to spin it. If I'm wrong about something, I'm going to go ahead and admit it. Okay?
Didn't you say that media outlets like CNN, etc., are propagandists? You don't trust any of them?
Yeah, I would believe so. Yeah. I think
so you don't trust any of them, and yet you're willing to say that there was Russian disinformation on that laptop. And the way that you're about to try to prove it is by doing a quick Google search that comes up with a media outlet that you're going to say is a propaganda and say, yep, I believe it. Just reading the immediate Google search.
No. You see, Rob, that's the difference between myself and the average person. I'm not just going to Google and believe what's on there. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and try to find original sources.
You made the claim. If I said, for example...
I'm going to look for original sources. I'm going to go ahead and try to find...
Okay. Go ahead. I just want to say, if I was to make a declarative claim like that, I would have some idea of what I was talking about.
It's called critical thinking. Okay?
No, it's not.
It's not everything.
No, critical thinking isn't saying, oh, there was Russian disinformation. I say, really? Can you give me an example? And you're like, no, I'll Google search. That's critical thinking. That's not critical thinking.
Oh my God, dude! Like I literally admitted, hey, I might have gotten that wrong.
Okay, so you have no fucking. So you why did you even come up with the claim that the laptop was Russian disinformation? How did you make that mistake? If you just don't know.
No. So this is how I made that mistake. I thought that picture, that ridiculous picture of Hunter Biden with Melania, which obviously fake, right? So then that would lead me to believe that it's been tampered with.
First off, okay, whatever. Secondly, do you have any proof that even if that was the case, that it was Russians?
I would have to look up. It's been a long time since I looked at this. So I would have to just look it up.
What is the effect of this Russian? So by combining Hunter with Trump's wife.
Yeah.
This is Russia trying to harm the Bidens?
No. That just proves my point that it's been tampered with.
No, you said that it included Russian disinformation. That was your claim.
No. I said that it might have been tampered
yes or no?
With by Russians.
No. Yes
Russians.
or no? Yes. No. Yes or no? Did you say you were saying point out lies of Biden? I said he said about the laptop being Russian disinformation. You said the laptop did have Russian disinformation. That's what you said.
Yeah. And also, I think the other reason was because there was like intelligence agents. A bunch of them said that it was
they lied.
Russian disinformation.
Yes, they lied. Yes. Was it Russian disinformation? No. It turns out the laptop was real. They lied. And they knew it. The FBI knew for months that laptop was real.
But I don't think that anybody was arguing that it was real. They're saying that it was tampered with.
No, that's not. They were saying that the claims that were coming, the New York Post that got censored from social media under pressure from agencies like our FBI, which people like Zuckerberg have came out and said that all of these agencies were pressuring social media. They were priming them for months saying, listen, there's going to be a story that comes out about the Bidens. Maybe it'll have something to do with Biden's son working in Ukraine and things like that. And that's going to be Russian disinformation because they're trying to affect the election like they did in 2016. And you got to be very careful to not allow those sort of things affect the election. Now, all the while, the FBI knew that this laptop was accurate. They knew that the emails on there regarding Hunter working with the spy chief of China, Biden working with Ukraine and all the situations there and Burisma, they knew those were accurate. And so when that story broke, the FBI and other agencies had already primed social media to go, oh, we're supposed to censor this stuff because it's disinformation. Then you had 51 former intel officials, many of which still included their security clearance, come out and say, this has all the hallmarks of Russian disinformation. Meanwhile, all of the claims that were being made and that were reported and that were censored from places like the New York Post were absolutely true. And the FBI knew it all along. It was a lie. And Joe Biden certainly knew. Joe Biden also claimed that he never met any of the business partners. That's a lie. Just last week, we could see even more photos of him introducing Hunter to his Chinese business partner and President Xi of China. So he lied about that.
So, but do you think it's like a lie, or do you think he just didn't know who they were?
Do I think that Joe Biden didn't know who these people were that were business partners of Hunter Biden?
Yeah,
That's
like
what
they
you-
were just.
yeah,
like, they
he
were
knew.
just
He knew.
Like his business partners. He was like, "Hey,
Yes, he
I
knew.
work with this guy."
Yes, he knew.
And he knew. How
Yes,
do you
he
know
knew.
that?
Well, one, not only is it a beyond the pale that this guy that talks to his son every day, as admitted by both of them, doesn't know who these people that are, he just thinks they're random people that his son's introducing, Chinese officials, etc.
So you're
And
assuming he knows who these people
the
are?
second, I don't even have to assume, because after the story broke and the specific names were being mentioned, which Joe Biden would have known that he met and introduced, he still said that he never did it.
Well, you have to. I would have to look at it because I mean,
The story broke. Why else would it be being discussed? Joe Biden's asked specifically, it's being alleged in these emails that you introduced Hunter Biden to business partners. No, I didn't. He knows who the alleged business partners was. He knows that he introduced them. He knows there's photos of it. And still he lied and said, nope, never did that. And you're trying to give the benefit of the doubt saying, well, maybe he just thought these were random people and he didn't know they were business partners.
so wait a minute. So if you take a picture with someone, and you got to be careful with this one. If you take a picture with someone, or someone introduces them, then you know everything that's going on with them.
No, but let's say me and you, let's say a story breaks and someone says, hey, Neo Jackass, Rob Knorr, you took a picture with Rob Knorr. Here he is. Here's his face. Here's what he did. You took a picture with him. This guy right here. And you say, no, I didn't. I never did that. Yes, it might be if someone just said it and you didn't know anything about me, you might say, I don't think I ever did that. But once it becomes a national story and people are saying, this guy right here, you met him, you did that, and you say no, then that's clearly something different. Joe Biden was well aware of the names of the business associates of Hunter Biden once it became a national story, and it was critical of Biden himself because it appeared to be the selling of access of influence to the vice president of the United States, and he still lied and said, no, I never introduced them. I was never met any of them, which is a lie. And you're saying, oh, he just thought they were random people. That might fly. That might fly if it wasn't a national story who these people were.
Okay, Rob, but I'm just saying I've taken pictures with hundreds of students when I was an instructor at a certain place.
Okay.
And I don't remember everyone and everything everyone I took a picture with.
Okay,
Like,
let's
literally,
say
I
this.
don't
Let's
remember
say
any of
this.
them.
Let's say that then pictures surface of you with me. I was one of those students. Okay.
I'm following.
Would you then say, nope, I never met him?
No, I would say I took a picture with him, but I don't know who he is.
Oh, but Joe Biden didn't say that. He said, no, I never did.
So he saw a picture of himself with someone.
He saw the national news stories, not the pictures, but he saw national news stories showing that these were the names of the business partners, and his itineraries and pictures show that he met those people. And even after he was made aware of who those people were, he said, no, I never met any of them.
And then he saw a picture of himself with these people, and he still said he didn't see them.
I don't know if
didn't
he
know
ever
them.
specifically saw the picture. The pictures were out there and he continued to deny it.
So,
I don't know if
okay.
someone waved the picture in front of his face.
How was the question specifically asked? Did they say, "Hey"?
I
did
don't
you
know.
meet
Why are
Hunter?"
you giving such the benefit of the doubt of someone who clearly lied?
Because Joe Biden is a good person.
No, he's not.
Yeah, he is.
Really?
100 times better. Yeah, 100 times better than
define good
100
person.
times better than Trump.
Define good person. What
A
makes
good
someone
person,
a good person?
a person with good moral values. Usually, they go to church. They have some sort of like.
Okay, so for example, would someone now try to get through this without using the word Trump? You ready? Would
Yeah.
someone who admitted to sexually harassing, or by the legal definition, sexually assaulting multiple women, would you consider them a good person?
Admitting to sexually harassing people.
or
Yeah,
assault.
no, absolutely not.
Okay, so one, we know there were several women that came out and talked about inappropriate touching that Joe Biden did to them, things like sniffing their hair, rubbing their shoulders to the point where
And he admitted to that? He said I
yes,
sexually
yes.
assaulted him?
He didn't use the word sexually assaulted. He admitted to the behavior and said he apologized for it.
Oh, so you spinned it.
It's not spinning. If
Oh, yeah, it is.
okay, let me ask you this: if I walk up to a woman and grab her breast, did I sexually assault her?
Yes.
If I say, I'm sorry that I walked up to that woman and grabbed her breast, is that an admission that I sexually assaulted her?
Yes.
If I say, but I don't think that's sexually assault, I was just playing around, does that mean I no longer sexually assaulted her?
No.
Okay, so in other words, if Joe Biden admitted, yes, I did what these women allege, but
What
you
were
say,
they
well, he
alleging?
didn't. They alleged that he inappropriately touched them in ways that they felt were sexual, like rubbing their shoulders, legs, sniffing them, things of that nature.
That doesn't sound like sexual assault to me.
Okay, define sexual assault or sexual harassment.
You want me to define it?
Yes.
You want me to define it like
Yes.
legally?
But define it in the way that you would define it.
I would say touching a woman in a sexual manner that is unwanted.
Okay, so if you come up and you rub someone's shoulders and sniff their hair, is that sexual harassment?
No.
Oh, I think your HR department would disagree.
Well, no, it depends. Did that woman make a complaint? Say, oh my God, this guy touched me. I didn't want him to touch me.
She went public with it and said so, and Joe Biden admitted that it occurred.
Okay. Okay. He said that he touched the woman's shoulders and
He said that he's an older gentleman and that's how people like that talk. And if it came across as sexual or uncomfortable for the women, he felt bad for it, and he was working on his behavior.
okay, yeah, I would completely buy that from Joe Biden. I would say that
Oh,
he
so
didn't mean
it's
it.
okay to do behavior that is touching in a way that makes women feel sexually uncomfortable as long as you're old and you say, I didn't know better.
No. So it could be a genuine misunderstanding because he does come from an older generation. The man is ancient.
So I just want to be
right?
clear. You would, if you're on a jury and a woman's like, I feel like I was being sexually harassed because this guy always came up behind me, rubbing my shoulders and sniffing me. You would say, oh, but he's old.
No, absolutely not.
But that's
I
what
would
you're
have
saying
to look
about
at
Joe
the
Biden.
totality. No, I would have to look at the totality of the circumstances, right? I would
Okay,
have to
the
look
totality
at
of the circumstances. We have multiple women that said it. In fact, not
Okay.
only that, we actually had Kamala Harris, who ran against Joe Biden in 2020, saying she believed the women.
Okay, yes,
Yet she still took the position
that he touched them
as vice
in
president.
like a non-sexual way.
Why would that be non-sexual? They said, why would they feel uncomfortable if it was
Dude,
non-sexual?
you don't rub someone's, like, you don't put your hands on someone's shoulders and that's like sexually automatically.
Well, what
Robert.
would you
That's
do?
not- Because I've done that.
You have. Tell us more.
Yeah.
You go up to random women and sniff their hair, and rub their
No,
shoulders.
no.
You
It's
rub their
not
legs?
random. I believe these women that you're talking about worked for him, like they were.
Oh, okay. So you said you were a teacher.
No, I did not say that.
You said you worked for a university or something to that effect.
No. I didn't say specifically where I worked. I don't want to talk about it.
Well, I don't want you to out exactly where you worked. You seem to imply you worked somewhere in education in some capacity. Are you
Yes,
telling
in
us
some
that
capacity.
so in that environment, either your coworkers or your students, you were rubbing people's shoulders and sniffing their hair?
Absolutely not.
What do you think it would be appropriate if you were doing
No.
so? Do you think
No,
that if
because
a woman,
of the power
do you
dynamic.
think do you,
As an
oh
instructor-
okay
as an instructor,
because of
I
the
couldn't do that.
How about vice president? Do you think they have a power dynamic? How about senator? Do you think they have a power dynamic over the women that they'd be interacting with that aren't senators?
Yes, I do.
Oh!
But it's different from for a teacher-student dynamic is very different from a workplace dynamic.
Really? You think so?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay, so in what way? So you say there's a power imbalance. So a 23-year-old professor and a 20-year-old student. 23-year-old professor comes up, starts rubbing the shoulders, sniffing the hair. That's sexual harassment?
Well, it depends on the totality of circumstances. Has this behavior been done before? Has she
Three
reciprocated?
Three other women say yes.
When did they make these claims? Once he started running for vice president?
Oh, but if he admitted to it, because now it seems to be saying, well, that's not true. So if he
When did they
admitted
make
to
the
it,
accusations?
they made the accusations. Some of them
When he was
talked-
running for president, or
some of
was
them,
it
like
just...
Tara Reid, talked about it contemporaneously to her mother. Others, the story started to break when he was running for president. What does it matter?
Ooh, yeah.
When did the accusations against Trump start?
The accusations, they've been going on forever.
No, when did they start to come out? The ones like E. John Carroll. Where did that come out?
So when I was a teenager, a late teenager, in
I
New York
noticed that
City.
this has nothing to do with answering the question.
It does.
It has
You just
nothing.
give it 3 seconds.
Okay, E. John Carroll, and your answer is when I was a teenager. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I come from a middle class family. No, look, I was a roofer in New York City when I was like 17, 18.
Mm-hmm.
And we heard about Trump, how he didn't pay people, how he was awful to women, how he was just a snake, how he would have you work for him.
What the fuck does this have to do with E. John
pay...
Carroll? What does any of this have to do with E. John Carroll?
Oh no, it's just I'm just pointing out a long history.
Let me cut through your bullshit. Yes, the mass amount of accusations against Trump came when he started to run for president.
You see, you're stating for me. Hey, Neo, you got
Yes, I am, because you're talking bullshit. I said, when did the accusations like that of E. John Carroll come? And you're like, well, when I was a teenager and I worked on roofs, I heard that Trump didn't pay people and was mean to women.
Well, yeah, that's us.
Well, listen. When I trimmed Christmas trees in Pennsylvania here when I was 16 years old, I heard Joe Biden diddled little kids and women.
You're lying.
No, I'm not. Now
Yeah,
what?
you are.
Now what?
But I wouldn't expect any less.
So just to be clear, if I could pull up one person that says, I was a staffer in Joe Biden of a Democrat in the 80s, and I heard rumors that Joe Biden was inappropriate to women, you would say, oh, okay. That changes the calculus. And that one guy heard that rumor. No specific accusations, but he heard that rumor. So that changes it.
No, it wouldn't change because you know why? Because there is a long, the totality of the circumstances, the entirety of the
Let's
Joe
say
Biden
there wasn't.
life.
Let's say there wasn't.
Okay.
Let's say this. Let's say there wasn't about Trump. Let's say no one ever accused Trump. Then E. John Carroll did. And Trump says, yeah, I did that. But she didn't bring it up until he was running for office. He says, yeah, I did that, but I didn't mean anything sexual by it. I'm older. That's what I thought. I'm a New Yorker. That's how we interact.
Did he do exactly what he's accused of doing?
Let's say he said, I rubbed her shoulders. I smelled her. She was uncomfortable. Yeah, I'm sorry. You would say, you would say that's fine because she didn't bring it, even though he admitted the behavior, she didn't bring it up until he was running for office. So it's fine.
I would say, if there was no other history of doing this and he wasn't.
But there is 3 other women said it. And we have public, not only that, we have public video showing over and over, particularly with children, Joe Biden rubbing arms and shoulders and sniffing hair.
Yeah, a sexual assaulter does that on camera every day. Yeah,
sure.
That's right now.
So your argument is people with sexual deviancy always make sure to hide it and don't do it in public? That's your argument?
I'm just saying a person who thinks they're doing something that is sexually deviant would definitely not do it on.
It doesn't matter if he thinks it's sexually deviant or not. That's irrelevant. It's not an excuse.
What are you talking about?
So if I don't think,
9/10 of the law.
If I am raised in a household that's fucked up, and I watch my dad sexually assault my mom, and I think that's normally behavior, and so then I'm walking down the street and I see a woman and I take her in the alley and sexually assault her and say, I don't think that's deviant at all. You would say, oh, okay.
That's not an apples to apples comparison.
Okay, so then I see my dad constantly going up to women in his workplace, sniffing their hair while they have tears in their eyes, rubbing their shoulders. So then I proceed to do that to students or to my coworkers, and I say, oh, there was no sexual deviance to it. I thought that was normal. You would say that's fine.
I think you would get away with that maybe once. If you do it again, obviously
okay, so we have 3 women at least that reported Biden for that.
Okay, yeah, but all of the accusations came out right as he was running for president.
So what? What does that mean?
Because, come on, Robert, you think it's just a coincidence?
No. In fact, these were women that proceeded to say that they were still going to vote for Joe Biden.
Isn't one of these women didn't she banish herself to Russia?
Tara Reid, because she was maligned, the same people that said believe all women treated her like shit because it turns out they didn't believe women. Now that woman went further. She claimed that she was actually penetrated by Joe Biden with his finger, which is rape. Penetrating an orifice like that. That's what she said. But the Democrats didn't believe her. They said, even though, unlike with the cases of Trump, where the people that accused Trump never told anyone contemporaneously, and not only did Tara Reid tell her mother contemporaneously, but there's actually C-SPAN footage of Tara Reid's mother calling in and saying there was a very powerful person in Washington that assaulted my daughter, right around the time that Tara Reid said this was occurring. But Democrats didn't give a shit. That's what a good guy would do, right?
No,
let's talk more about good guy stuff. Do you think a good guy would refuse to acknowledge the existence of his granddaughter? Would a good guy do
does-
that?
He did not. He mentioned that the other day.
No, he refused to until it became a national press story.
I just don't know the specifics on that, Rob.
Well, the specifics are this: that Hunter Biden went out and had sex with a woman out of wedlock, who then got pregnant, and he refused to pay
Why do you
child
mention out of wedlock? I don't understand why you mentioned that.
because it's someone that was not accepted in the Biden family. She was someone that was sort of a stripper type person. So she wasn't highfalutin enough for the Bidens to accept in their family. She wasn't
Out of
someone that he
wedlock.
was married to. And so they said it was just a fling. So Hunter refused to pay child support, and Joe Biden refused to acknowledge the existence of this granddaughter. Does that sound like a good person?
Yeah, no, that does not sound like a good person to me.
But that's what you said. Biden's a good
Why
person.
did you emphasize out of wedlock, Rob? Like, is that not a good thing?
Because they felt that this woman was shameful and harmful to the family, and so they refused to accept the granddaughter because they were ashamed. That's why I mentioned it.
Oh, okay. So where
But
did you find out that they were ashamed? Like, did Biden say that?
That's the fact that Hunter was refusing to pay child support. Why? Okay, let's assume. I guess I inferred that they were ashamed. Why wouldn't they acknowledge if they weren't ashamed?
Maybe there was some sort of legal issue going on.
No, there was no legal issue. Next.
What was there like a DNA test going on at the
The
time?
DNA test had already proven that it was his granddaughter. He still refused to acknowledge her.
Okay, yeah, I
Next.
think that's messed up.
Oh, so it sounds like he wasn't a good guy.
No, hold on. One bad thing doesn't make a bad guy.
So what
And I
makes
know
him
that
a
you're-
good guy?
So this is what makes him a good guy. He's a family guy.
And in what way? He refused to acknowledge the existence of his granddaughter. In what way is he a family guy?
Okay, so there
He,
was
his own daughter said that the reason she's probably so fucked up in life in her diary was that her father took sexually inappropriate showers with her. Sounds
Oh,
like a
so
good family guy.
So I read that, and I read what she actually said in her diary.
Well, okay.
And then I read her statement afterwards.
Okay, what's her statement afterwards?
Okay, so I would have to look it up to be specific about it. But what you're saying is just completely spinned in the worst way possible.
That's not true.
Yeah.
That's not true. Why should we not prefer? So when she publicly is trying to defend her father, who is president, right? She has a different story. When she's writing in a document that she thinks no one will see, she lied then? That's your claim?
The thing is that the diary, the snippet from the diary that is being passed around is only, they cut out like the next part underneath it. And it kind of goes into more context.
Okay, what's that part? Go ahead.
I have to find it, Rob. Like, this is like so annoying to fucking look while I'm talking. I'm sorry.
You're the person, basically, you're just a propagandist. That's what you're saying. I like
No, I'm
Biden.
not.
I like Democrats, so I say Biden's a good guy, despite the fact he's been in Washington for
No.
years, has lied over and over, has done a bunch of horrible shit. I just think he's a good guy. He's a good guy. And any excuse, anytime someone will point
That's
out,
your spin.
well, the women,
That's
the
your
reason that
spin.
women say that, and Trump's a bad guy. He's a bad guy. And so that's why I trust Biden, and Kamala's
So
a
wait a
good
minute,
person, and Trump's a
You're telling me
bad guy.
Trump is not a bad guy?
Define bad guy.
Oh my God. Colloquially, like when I say bad guy, what do you think I mean? And
I
go
think
with that.
Immoral.
Okay, perfect. That's
So
what.
So like, for example, not acknowledging the existence of his granddaughter, that would be a very bad thing to do.
Okay,
like
what
Biden.
else? What else?
Like having your son be a bag man for your business, knowing that he's addicted to drugs, and instead of
Okay,
helping him.
you just made that up.
That's not true. That's exactly what happened.
Okay, so why
Lying
hasn't
about knowing the
Congress-
business associates?
Why hasn't Congress recommended charges and also impeached Trump if that's true?
Well, what would impeaching Trump prove about
I'm
anything?
not sorry, impeach Biden.
Because they're cowards. The evidence
They're
is out
cowards.
there. Yes, the evidence is out there. For example, we know, despite the objections and lies of Joe Biden, that Hunter Biden was operating as a foreign agent and was lobbying for hostile foreign institutions. We know that Joe Biden was the person who came up with the decision to issue a quid pro quo with $1 billion of your tax dollars to force the firing of a prosecutor in Ukraine that, at least on paper, was tasked with investigating his
This
son's
is so
company.
insane that you're saying these things, and you know that what you're saying is a lie.
That's not
and
true.
You're
It's
speaking them out loud.
Okay, that's absolutely true. In fact, Biden's acknowledged it. You want me to play the audio?
Hold on. So no, I'll prove you wrong right now. The quid pro quo. Are you talking about that video where he's bragging about saying, "Oh, we won't give you the money unless you fire this guy"?
That's part of it. There's more to it than the video, but yeah, that video is an acknowledgement that quid pro quo
Okay,
happened.
what does he say right after he says that?
And we thought he was a good guy initially.
No. What when it comes to Barack Obama?
He says, if you don't fire that guy, you're not getting the money. I'm walking out of here. And Poroshenko says, you're not in charge. Obama is. And Biden says, call him. He'll agree.
Okay.
And God damn it, they fired him. And then they replaced him with a guy who was good at the time.
So the orders came from?
They didn't come from Obama. In fact,
yeah, they did.
That's not true. That's not true at all. That's not true at all.
Why would Obama agree with it?
Because Obama gave Biden authority to be the point man on dealing with corruption in Ukraine.
So he delegated his authority to him?
Correct. So
what does that mean? What does that mean?
That means that on a specific level, that means at a specific level, he might not know the specific policies that are being instituted. However, he trusts the person to make these decisions. That's not spin. For example, do you think that presidents are in charge of the executive branch?
Yes.
Is the FBI part of the executive branch?
I don't think so.
Yes.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay, my bad.
Okay. Is the Department of Justice part of the executive branch?
Yes.
Okay, so Merrick Garland is the head of the DOJ under Biden, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Merrick Garland decided to issue policies that prosecuted Donald Trump.
Yes.
Did Joe Biden prosecute Donald Trump?
No.
Why? Didn't he delegate the authority to Merrick Garland?
No. Wait.
He
doesn't delegate that.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Define the word delegate.
No,
define the word delegate.
Rob. Before we get into delegate, okay? And all right, no, actually, we'll just answer that because I just want to go in order. So delegate means that you pass your authority, your decision making, your power onto a lower ranking official. Or
correct, which is exactly what the top dog, the guy who's in charge of the military, the guy that's in charge of the executive, delegates to people underneath him. He appoints people to delegate authority to run those agencies.
Now, specifically, Merrick Garland acts on his own, and that's
not
stated
true.
everywhere.
So Joe Biden acts on his own. Do you have any proof? Do you have any proof? If you're right that Barack Obama is the one who issued this policy for the quid pro quo, can you show me one time anyone ever saying that? Obama, Biden, anyone? Can you show me anyone other than you?
You don't have to hear it. He says it himself. He's like,
that's not true. That's not true. What he says is this. He came up with the policy, and someone's saying, you're not the ultimate guy in charge. And he's saying, fucking Barack will agree with me. That doesn't mean Barack's the one who told Biden to do that. That doesn't even mean that Barack knew that Biden was doing it.
So wait a minute. So hold on. So Biden says, oh, I'm not in charge? Go ahead and ask the guy who is in charge.
Right. What Biden's basically saying is, the fuck I'm not. Why don't you call him and see what he says? He's going to say whatever Joe says goes.
Yeah, because guess who makes the final decision, Rob?
So then if Merrick Garland decides to prosecute Trump and Trump says, you can't do that, you're not the ultimate person in charge of the Department of Justice, Joe Biden is. And Merrick said, call him. You would say, oh, that's proof that Joe Biden did it.
Well, no, Merrick Garland's supposed to act independently.
It doesn't matter if he's supposed to. So was Joe Biden. He was independly the point person for dealing with corruption.
No, he doesn't.
You're such a fucking idiot. You're such an idiot. Can you show me
one
time? Can you show me one? Can you show me one time? He didn't say stuff. Why didn't Joe Biden, when all of this time after this that this is being brought up, why didn't he one time say it was Obama that said to do it? Not once. Never said it.
It's obvious.
It's not obvious. If it was obvious, then people would have said it. You're literally willing to wipe this all away. All of the people that I've seen, Philip Bump, Rachel Maddow, Jake Tapper, Adam Schiff, fucking, what's his name from the Levi fortune that you see, Dan Goldman, all of these people that were charging the impeachment of Trump, all of the people that were fighting back against the Hunter Biden laptop, not one of them ever said, well, clearly it was Obama that issued this policy. It was never Joe Biden. He had nothing to do with it. Not one of them ever said it. And it's it. If they would have said it, you're saying that's a clear indicator that Joe Biden did nothing wrong. Obama never said it. Obama never came out and said, "No, this is all malarkey." Clearly, I'm the person that
did nothing wrong. Is because he is not impeached by
That's bullshit.
a Republican Congress.
Okay, the clearest fact that Trump did nothing wrong was he didn't get prosecuted by Democrat investigators.
Okay, you see, you're so bad at this. You're so bad at this.
No, I'm actually very good at it.
The only reason he didn't get prosecuted by for the crimes that he actually committed, and we know he committed, okay, because we fucking saw them, is because he wasted time. He bought time. He's a billionaire. He hired the best lawyers he possibly could.
That's why Biden got same reason that Republicans didn't get Biden. He's a millionaire. He's got the best lawyers.
No, cool. Bullshit.
Yeah. Oh, he doesn't?
He's not a billionaire.
He's a millionaire, I said. He has the best lawyers.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. And he doesn't have the best lawyers because
Joe Biden doesn't have the best lawyers.
No, because first of all, there was they can do their own investigations in Congress.
So
and that has nothing to do with lawyers. What did the lawyers have to do with those investigations?
And all through these investigations, lawyers are telling them what access they can get to what information. They're saying who could testify to what. Joe Biden ever get subpoenaed? Joe Biden's bank records ever get subpoenaed?
I believe that Hunter Biden's bank records were combined with his father's.
That's not true.
Yes, they did get subpoenaed.
That's not true.
I can look it up. I know this one for a fact.
It's not true. The argument that there were specific addresses for Hunter Biden that was at his father's place is different than the fact that if you were trying to see if money was embezzled, let's say I have 5 bank accounts and I'm credibly accused of embezzling money into one of those bank accounts, right? And I say, you can look at this one, but not these 4. Do you say, oh, good enough. You looked at that bank account.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm accused of embezzling money into one of my bank accounts. I own 5 of them. I tell investigators, you could look at this one. You say, oh, they looked at Rob's bank accounts. He didn't do anything wrong. Is that what you would say?
No, well, it depends. Are you telling me, so did that bank account that Biden had, was his son, did he have anything to do with it?
What I'm telling you is, do you believe that Joe Biden has bank accounts?
Yes.
Do you believe they were subpoenaed?
I believe that his son's
his son's was Joe Biden's.
Yeah, and they shared a bank account.
Let's say that's true. I don't know that that's true, but let's say that's true. If Joe Biden has 5 bank accounts and he shares one with his son, and they looked at the one he shared with his son and didn't see evidence of criminality, but he refused to let them look at the other 4, that's good enough for you?
Absolutely.
That's bullshit.
But why?
Because if I was going to be engaged in a criminal enterprise and I had the ability to show some of my information and not others, I would clearly show the information that didn't show evidence of criminality and not show the ones that did. So if I get to choose which one of my evidence you get to, like, for example, if I have 10 computers and we know one of them has evidence of me being a criminal, and I tell the FBI, here, you could look at these 9 computers, but not this 10th. You can't look at it. You would say, oh, clearly Rob did nothing wrong. He showed them 9 of his hard drives. That's stupid.
No, absolutely not. So the way that would work is that you would draft up a warrant, and it would say, "Hey, I would look in every area."
Did they do that with Joe Biden?
Did
they do that with Joe Biden?
I don't know specifically.
No, they didn't. Cool.
I don't even know if that's true because you spin so much.
Dude, you don't know anything. You've said so. You don't know the bare minimum of things. You constantly say stuff, and I'm like, you want to check that out? Oh, maybe I misspoke on that. Actually, there was Russian information, disinformation. We look into it. Okay, maybe I was wrong. Oh, actually, border crossers were down in 2020 because of COVID. Oh, maybe I don't know about that. That's constantly what you do. You make these claims.
Well, guess what? I told you that there would be in the 2020 that there would be lower numbers for illegals, and they were. And you didn't. You just fucking glazed over that.
That's not true at all.
Glazed over.
That's not true at all. That's not true. You're wrong. I said, oh, you said, well, the numbers were down in 2020. I said numbers were low under Trump. You said, well, because of COVID in 2020. I said they were down before that. They were way lower, right? And I was like, what does COVID have to do with anything? Does that mean that your argument is that they were lower in 2020 than the previous 3 years, like 2017? You said, yeah, I believe so. Then we looked it up, and it turned out they were lower in 2017 than they were in 2020. And you said, well, I wasn't sure.
So higher.
So what? That doesn't prove that
You
they were.
fucking glossed over that.
What does that mean? What the fuck does that mean?
You can't be wrong. You can't be wrong.
What
Rob.
are you
have to
talking
be
about?
right.
What are you talking about? What I said specifically,
that's why you're not reliable.
What I said specifically, what I said
that's
specifically,
why you're not reliable.
I'll just mute you if you're going to talk. I'll just mute you, and if you're going to talk over to me, I was right on what I specifically said. That's what I was. I said, so I don't think that was the lowest number of those 3 years. In fact, I was well aware that there was a, quote, spike in 2019 because it's one of the Democrat NPC talking points that you hear all the time.
Was it 18 and 19 or just 19?
19. Well, 18 was higher than 17.
Oh, man,
but 19 was the highest of them. But all of them paled in comparison to the Biden years.
Yeah, that had nothing to do with the point I was making, by the way.
The point you were making was the reason that you brought this up in the first place was I was talking about how the border was far more secure when it came to border crossings under Trump. And you tried to throw out a red herring. Well, the reason was because of COVID. The reason you said that was the implication that you were making was actually the numbers would have been way higher if it wasn't COVID. So it looks like the numbers were low under Trump, but actually that's not true. It was just because of COVID. And so you're like, okay, let's go back and look at the 3 previous years. Well, it turns out that not only were they not as high as the Biden administration, even close in 19 and 18, they were actually lower in 17 than during the COVID year. So the explanation that you're implying that the reason they were low because COVID doesn't seem to be the case because there wasn't COVID in 2017. Then you acknowledge when I say, why do you think they were lower than even Barack Obama's number? You said, well, because of the policies of Trump and because he was hostile to illegal immigrants. Right. So the initial implication that you tried to make that it wasn't because of policies that Trump had or the stance that Trump had.
That's not what
Then why did you bring up COVID in 2020?
Because, we're having a conversation and we're just going everywhere.
No, that's not true. You brought it up specifically. You're lying. Just be honest. You were trying to diminish.
I'm not a liar, dude.
You are a liar. You were trying to diminish. You were trying to give an excuse for why the numbers were low under Trump.
Absolutely not.
Yes, that's absolutely what you were doing.
No.
It's absolutely what you were doing.
All right. Okay. This is what you did. This is what you did with Destiny, right? You just talk, and you wear people down to the point where they just want to.
What do you mean wear down? You were getting your ass kicked 3 minutes into the conversation. Was that because you were wore down then?
I beg to differ, Rob.
Well, I think even lefties that are watching would say, "Damn, that guy fucking sucks."
No, absolutely not. Rob,
you're wretched. You're terrible.
About 10 minutes in, you were screaming and saying that you wanted to ban me from the channel.
No, what I was saying, it wasn't 10 minutes. One, it was longer than that. Second, what I was saying is one of my biggest pet peeves is what people like you do. See, you can't just be honest. You can't just make an argument.
I am way more honest than you have ever been.
That's not true. So what happens is this, and I've seen it a dime a dozen. This is what will happen. Someone will come on and we'll have a discussion. Then they'll start to get their ass kicked. And then they'll say, that's not what I said. And I'll say, yeah, it is what you said. And you said, no, that's not what I said. And I'll say, I bet if we go back and look at the tape, that's what you said. No, I didn't say that. And I got tired of that happening over and over and over again. And so one of the policies I have is if you lie, if you say something, and then we continue on the discussion based on the fact you said it, and then you later retract and say, you're wrong, I never said that, and I go back and it turns out that you did say that, then I no longer want to talk to you. Because it makes one of the fundamental things that's necessary for us to have any sort of fruitful, worthwhile conversation, whether it be informative or entertaining, is that we have to acknowledge what the other person is saying. And if you're willing to blatantly lie because you're getting blown the fuck out, then it makes the conversation not entertaining or informative to me, and I have no reason to talk to you. That's why you're one of like 30 people that have been on the channel that did the exact same thing. And you know that you initially said exactly what I said you did, almost exactly, almost verbatim, that you said the problem you had was that I said that Trump was better on the security in this video. And
absolutely not.
That is what you said.
No, the point of our debate was that Trump and your support of Trump is hypocrisy. Trump will do one thing and then do another.
That is not
the point. That was the point.
That is not the point of the debate. That is not.
And you derailed it.
That is not. That is not the point.
That's exactly. That's what it was.
The point is, you came in and immediately called me.
I'm just saying, Rob.
You came in and immediately called me and other conservative people propagandist. That's what you did.
And is that not true?
No, it's not true. When I said, well, why am
What's the definition of a propagandist, Rob?
Well, you said that the definition was...
No, what's your definition?
My definition of a propagandist would be a person that is only pushing out certain facts or a skeptical amount of facts to spin the truth in a way that they know is dishonest to prove a point.
You just described yourself.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
No, I didn't. Where have I been dishonest?
Okay. So real quick,
real quick, I'll give you a chance to answer that. But real quick, let's get back. You called me a propagandist. I asked, how am I a propagandist? You said, I saw this video of you before the election. You put out all these little videos, and one of them was, why, if you were concerned about border security, you should vote for Trump. But Trump went against that border bill, and so that proves he doesn't care about border security. And I don't know if you were intentionally lying or not, but that's why you're a propagandist. I said, that's not true. Then we found out that you were dishonest. One, you claimed that you watched that video, then later claimed you didn't watch the video.
I did not. I did not.
You want to go back? You want to go back? Oh, it wasn't a misunderstanding. That's what you said. You may have misspoke.
Yeah, I misspoke.
Okay,
yes,
that's
so
different.
Is that lying?
No. If you misspoke, that's not lying. But I'm going off of what you said. If you're saying, yes, you're right, I said that, but I misspoke. Fine, no problem. Okay.
And I cleared it up.
Okay. But then when we went specifically with it, you're like, well, I just found out from the video title. I said, okay, so you're saying because of the video title that you say that because I've thought that Trump was better on the border than Kamala, right? That you should vote for her. But because Trump didn't, he told people not to vote for this Langford bill. That proves that I'm a propagandist.
Rob, I never talked about Kamala. You're the one who brought her up.
I didn't. Where did I say Kamala? I said
Trump says one thing and does the other. That was the base of our.
What does that have to do? What does that have to do with me being propagandist based on a video title?
Because you know, okay, and you know in your heart of hearts that Trump is a liar, a schemer, a scam.
Yes. Are you a liar? Are you a liar?
No.
Yes, you are. You're telling me you've never lied?
Oh no, but liar. I'm talking about like a pattern. Like I lie constantly.
Do you don't think politicians have a quote pattern of lying?
Yeah. I just mentioned
name me
Trump.
one that doesn't.
Okay. One that doesn't. Mm-hmm. I can't really name one. No.
Okay. So then you're saying Trump's like every politician. He has a pattern of lying.
No, I'm not.
Okay. Then
name me way worse.
Name me a politician that doesn't have a pattern of lying.
You name me a politician that lies worse than Trump.
Biden.
Come on. You see, that's a lie.
That's not a lie.
Yeah, it is.
Why did Joe Biden run for president? What did he say? What was his reason that he decided to run in 2020?
He said he wanted to be a uniter.
No, what was the inciting incident? He's talked about it many times.
Are you talking about the good people on both sides thing?
Right.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
So he said that the reason he knew he had to run was when he saw those Nazis in Charlottesville, and Trump said some of them were good people. That's what he said, right?
Yeah.
Did Trump ever say Nazis were good people?
He said there were good people on both sides.
Did Trump ever say Nazis were good people?
Hold on. Can I just say it real quick?
Yes or no, and then you can elaborate. Did Trump say Nazis were good people? Yes or no? He did. Okay. Can you show me the quote?
Okay. Is that showing you a quote? Is that elaborating?
Well, you can elaborate, but I'd like to see the quote. You just said definitively Trump said Nazis are good people. So you can elaborate, and then I want you to show me the quote.
Okay. So the quote is that he said that there were, and I'm just spitballing because I don't remember it completely perfectly. Okay, Rob, so don't hold me to perfection here. He said that there were good people on both sides, and God damn it, I'm sorry. I apologize. I didn't mean to say that. There are people, good people on both sides, and then he said something like a qualifying statement afterwards, and I can't recall specifically. Do you remember?
Clearly not the Nazis and white supremacists that are all bad people and should be condemned.
Okay.
CTV, what's up? Thanks for the raid, man. I appreciate it. We're just dragging some stupid lefty that wanted to argue with me on X. He's been getting his ass kicked. It's worth going back and watching.
So you want to call me a stupid lefty,
yes.
Even though I've been very respectful to you.
You came in and you've called me a propagandist over and over again.
Yeah,
that's not
you know
respectful.
what? If you want to take that in a negative connotation, then go for it.
If you want to take stupid in a negative connotation, then go for it.
Oh my God, Robert! You see, that's intellectual dishonesty. Calling someone stupid, there is no way to not take that negatively.
So you think that there is positive propagandist?
Yeah, I think so.
So give me an example of when you would call someone a propagandist and you mean it as a good thing.
Okay. Well, mean it as I wouldn't call them a propagandist if I meant it in a good thing.
Oh, so you think that when you call someone a propagandist, you would expect that to be seen in a negative light?
Yeah, no. But I'm just saying a propagandist is not an insult.
But it's saying Robert. It is saying something about me that is derogatory or negative.
Is it? Is it derogatory or negative?
Yes. You don't think so?
Are you a propagandist?
No, I don't believe I am.
Yeah, you are a propagandist.
I don't believe it. What does that have to do with whether or not that's a derogatory statement?
Yeah, but I'm just saying
we
there's
disagree
levels
on
to it.
whether or not I am a propagandist. I'm saying you can't say I've been respectful and not insulting you when the entire time you've been calling me a propagandist. And you're like, oh, you assume there's a negative connotation. Yes, it is. Can you give me the positive connotation of calling someone a propagandist?
So, like, let's say that you were, I'll just give you an example. Let's say that Trump was trying to pass a border wall to save people's lives, right? And you came out and you said, hey, Trump, and you believe this in your heart of heart, okay? You believe this in your heart of heart that he is actually trying to do that, but he's not going to be able to do it with the makeup of the Congress and the House, right? He's not going to be able to actually get it done. But you're still going to put it out in a way to where, hey, these are his goals. This is what he wants to accomplish. But in your mind, you know it's probably not going to happen. But you just don't mention that part.
Okay, can you give me one example of you ever using the term propagandist in a positive manner?
No, I don't have one.
Can you give me one example of anyone using the term propagandist to refer to someone in a positive manner?
I don't recall anyone ever saying that.
And last question, were you, when you called me a propagandist, were you calling me in that unique situation that you're talking about? Or were you implying it in a negative light?
Yeah, in that specific moment, yes, I was calling you a propagandist.
So then the idea that you claim...
But wait a minute, Robert, hold on just a second. When I called you a propagandist, I was just talking about what you're doing.
Yeah, and when I call you, that's you're saying
I'm not making fun of you. I'm not saying you're stupid. I'm not saying you're
when I'm calling you stupid, I'm just showing an example of how you're portraying yourself. That's all. There are plenty of people that aren't that smart that I'm good friends with. I'm just saying you're objectively stupid. I'm also saying you're a liar, that you're bad faith.
Oh, I'm the one who's here and admit it when I'm wrong.
No, you don't. You don't admit you've lied.
I have not insulted you. And you're the one here who wanted to kick me off the channel and say, oh, I'm going to ban you.
You came in
because you're an angry little man, dude. You're just angry.
I'm not that little. I'm actually a fat fuck. Not that little. One. Secondly, it's because you're lying and being dishonest about what you say, because you're constantly changing, because you constantly realize your position is bullshit.
You know that Trump is not a good person and he's not going to keep his promises. And
that's not true. Trump is one of the most Trump's been one of the most transparent people in his first administration and his second. He has tried to accomplish a lot of what he said. Some of what he says is hyperbolic, and we have to understand.
How many drone strikes did he conduct during his 4 years?
Personally, or did he delegate it?
You know what, Robert? You're just being difficult for no reason.
Why am I being difficult?
He's not actually flying the fucking drones himself, Robert.
So did he delegate it? Did his generals do it, or did he order it? Did he order it, or did his generals?
His administration. How many drone strikes did they conduct during his 4 years?
What does that have to do? You seem to imply earlier that it has to do with something with the term of delegation, and that when it's someone like America. Yes, you did. For example, you said that you wouldn't blame Joe Biden for prosecuting Donald Trump because he delegated it.
Can you look at instead of changing the subject?
I'm not changing the subject. I'm talking. I'll get to specifically what you're saying. But you say that you don't count Merrick Garland going after Donald Trump as Joe Biden's administration or Joe Biden having any connection.
That has nothing to do with the point that I'm making.
Yes, it does.
How many drone strikes did he conduct during his 4 years?
My question to you is, if a general orders a drone strike and you blame Donald Trump, then why, if an attorney general goes after a political opponent, do you not blame the president?
Robert, how many drone strikes were conducted?
I will answer your question after you answer mine.
No, your question is, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't matter.
It does mean something. It goes to show a double standard in how you look at these things. A double
standard that you've employed. A double standard that you've employed over and over. Transparent president ever.
That's right.
So I'm asking you.
He was one. Did I say most transparent?
Tell me how many drone strikes he conducted.
More than Obama. I don't know the specific number. Go ahead. Tell me the specific number.
Why don't you know specific?
Tell me the specific number. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I don't have that knowledge. You clearly do.
Find that specific number because he hid them from everyone.
So then how many? So were they more than Obama or not?
No one will know.
So you don't know. So then everyone's lying when I hear the Democrats repeat over and over that it's more than Obama.
I've never said that.
How many specific drone strikes did Joe Biden issue?
How many specific drone strikes did
I'm asking questions.
President Biden? Okay, I asked you first.
Yeah, okay. I said I don't know. Now I'm asking you. How many drone strikes did
transparent? You said he's transparent, so you should know.
That's right. Okay. I said he's been one of the most transparent presidents ever. Well, okay, you say so because we don't have the specific number of drone strikes that proves.
Why don't we?
I don't know.
Yeah, you know why. You know exactly why.
No, I don't.
He's not transparent.
How many drone strikes? How many drone strikes did Obama order?
I don't know. I would have to look it up.
How many drone strikes did Biden order?
I would have to look it up.
How many
and I would
drone
have the
strikes
ability
did
to do
Bush?
that.
Go ahead, look it up right now. Tell me exactly how many drone strikes.
Because guess
Go
what?
ahead.
Because they didn't
No
hide
problem.
it.
Go ahead and look up right now. You said it would be easy. Look up exactly how many drone strikes Biden ordered.
No, that has nothing to do with it. We're talking
What
about
you just said.
He's
Right,
transparent.
we're talking
He's
about transparency.
He's transparent.
We're
right,
talking
Robert?
about transparency.
Robert,
We're talking
Robert,
about transparency.
He's transparent.
We are talking about transparency comparatively to other presidents.
So
You
wait a
say
minute. So did
your
you
argument
know that
is
he hid those
your
numbers
argument
from us
is
or not?
your argument is
Robert, did
because
you
we
know
don't.
that? Yes or no?
No, I assume that there is not one president in history that we know exactly what the number of how many strikes they issued are.
That's what you assume.
Yes.
Ooh, man.
How many? So clearly,
you
you're saying that this is an abnormality. That with Obama, with Biden, we know how many strikes they had. With Bush, we know. But for some reason, with Trump, he hid the number. So I said, great. That maybe you have an argument there. You may have an argument there. Cool. How many? Okay. Wait. Cool. Sounds like you have an argument there. Can you tell me specifically how many drone strikes Obama had? You said, yeah, I could easily look it up. Please. Go ahead.
Oh, dude, that has nothing to do with the argument.
Yes, it does. Because if it turns out that we don't know, if it turns out that we don't know, I said
30 people before me have come on here and they've done this.
Correct.
Do you think is there a commonality between all these 30 people?
Yes, they're all Trump deranged syndrome assholes.
No, you are the commonality between them because
they get frustrated because I crushed them. You're right.
No, because you're using debate.
What did I say? What did I say? What did I say?
Okay, let's try this to try to fit your narrative.
What
Robert.
did I say?
What did I say?
What did I say about Trump? I said he was one of the most transparent presidents. Is that what I said?
I asked you, hey, if he's so transparent, can you tell me how many drone strikes?
So did I say that he was one of the most transparent or the most transparent? Is that what I said?
Okay, he's very transparent.
Is that what I said? Yes or no? Is that what I said? Yes or no?
You want to split hairs?
Is that what I said? Yes or no?
Right now.
No, I have to get you. I have to get you. I have to get you on record because you're going to lie and change your response later. So is that what I said? Yes or no?
Hey, Robert, do you want to ask me some random fact about some other thing that Trump did?
So then you're unwilling to answer. You're unwilling to answer because you're disingenuous.
Have you answered my question?
So I'll proceed. Yes, I said I don't know. That is an answer. Now,
why don't you know?
Because I don't know.
He's the most transparent.
How many drone strikes did Biden order?
How many did Trump order? He's so transparent.
I answered you clearly. Why won't you answer?
Because the point of me talking about transparency, the reason I brought that up is to prove that Trump is not transparent and you're lying.
That's not true. When I say transparent, it is comparative. I said one of the most transparent ever. That would mean that we compare him to other people. For example, if I said I have a transparent relationship with my wife, and you said to me, if I asked your wife what you had for breakfast yesterday, would she know? And she said, no, I don't know. You'd say, aha! That proves Rob doesn't have a transparent marriage. And I'd say, what the fuck are you talking about? You took one random thing. And when we're talking comparatively, we're talking about Trump comparatively being transparent to other presidents. And so the question I have is, you're seeming to suggest it's some sort of abnormality. We don't know the exact specific numbers of drone strikes that Trump had. That proves that he's less transparent than other presidents. I say maybe so. That could be a specific issue. That wouldn't prove that on total he's less transparent, but on that specific issue, you would have a point. So can you tell me how many drone strikes Biden issued? How many drone strikes Obama? You're like, no, I can't. So then how is that any different?
I didn't say I can't.
So basically, okay, in fact, you're right. You didn't. You didn't answer. You refused to answer.
Yeah, because that has nothing to do with my point.
It does.
Okay?
It's comparative. When I say, now you'll answer some questions of mine. When I say one of the most transparent presidents ever, is that a comparative thing?
Okay.
Yes or no? Is that comparative? Is that comparative?
Did you say it was comparative? Yes or no?
Did I say one of the most transparent presidents ever?
Did you say it was comparative?
Does that not imply comparative?
But did you say it?
I don't have to say the word. It is implied in the phrasing.
Oh, wait a minute. So you can imply things when you're saying things, but if I say something, it's not implied.
If I say, okay, here we go.
Saying.
If I say Tom Brady is the best quarterback ever, and you say, but he threw 7 interceptions one year. Is that responsive to my claim?
No.
Why not?
Because I think it's a bad example because, I mean, there's literally no way to argue that Tom Brady is not the best quarterback ever.
Of course there is. You're an idiot.
Go ahead and argue it to me.
Sure. I could say Tom Brady was made by his coach, and had a system around him that was superior to other quarterbacks like Dan Marino, who basically had no one around him, yet continued to comparatively, compared to quarterbacks around him, be vastly superior in that time frame of how the game was played. He was also subject to much more abuse because the rules of the game weren't set up to protect the quarterback like they were for a quarterback like Tom Brady. So he was subject to far more abuse, had far less talent around him, and was comparatively to the quarterbacks that were contemporaneous with him so much more far and ahead than Tom Brady was, who was competing with people like Aaron Rodgers, Peyton Manning, Eli Manning, Ben Roethlisberger, etc.
Dude, you just wasted your breath and all your spit. And there's no one would buy that ever.
You said that no one could make that argument. Of course you could.
You could make the argument,
sure.
But doesn't mean you're not stupid.
You could say that, but people make those same sort of arguments. The question is, what you're doing is, the reason that the interception argument applies is because when you say, who is the greatest quarterback ever, or this person is the greatest quarterback ever, implied in that is you're comparing him to other quarterbacks. If you just give a statistic without any comparison whatsoever, for example, if I said the best pure hitter in baseball history was Tony Gwynn, and you said, really? And I said, yeah, he averaged 357 was his batting average. The first thing you would do is say, well, what did other people average? Was that the highest ever? Because you know that it's a comparative claim. Just throwing out one statistic doesn't do anything to the comparative nature of it. Similarly, if I say Donald Trump was one of the most transparent presidents ever, and you say, but we don't know exactly how many drone strikes he had, so you're wrong. That's not comparative. What we would need to do is like, well, do we know any other president exactly how many drone strikes they have? And you're like, I refuse to answer that.
No, it's not. It's not that I refuse to
answer. Okay. How many drone strikes did Biden have?
It has nothing to do with the argument. The argument is
it is comparative.
Trump is not, and you know this. You know that he's not transparent. Okay,
that's bullshit. Let's say, how would you define if someone's transparent or not? Let's say he wasn't. Would you acknowledge this? That probably by the very nature of a job, that the average president is probably less transparent than the average McDonald's manager?
Absolutely.
Okay, so then if I said the most transparent president ever, and you said, but he's not transparent, that wouldn't answer the question of maybe he's not very transparent, but still, because of the nature of the job, he's still the most transparent ever, even though objectively we'd say that's still not that transparent.
Okay, so let me just
So then, by the very nature, it's a comparative claim. And so when you're going to take one statistic and say drone strikes, it would behoove us to say, oh, was that an abnormality? Because if every president doesn't tell us exactly how many drone strikes they have, then that wouldn't seek to speak to the comparative nature of whether or not Trump was more transparent than those other presidents.
You know what? Like I believe what you're saying, like the words you're saying. Okay, I understand what you're saying makes sense. Okay, the words are good; they're good words. All right, but what I'm saying is that he has a pattern of being a nasty, disgusting womanizer.
Okay, so
he's not transparent. Hold on, let me just finish real quick. He's not transparent when it comes to drones. He hid in red tape in order to not have his crimes come to light.
Like
he
what
hid
crimes?
those on purpose. So
the drones?
No, not the drones. I'm talking about the J6 stuff, like with the fake electors.
He didn't hide it in red tape.
Yeah, he did.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, he did.
No, he didn't.
He hired lawyers, and they
So what?
They stalled, and they went to the.
Can you name me one person that's accused that has the money to have lawyers that don't do similar things? Can you name me one?
Oh, I would say that if he was transparent, he would try to get this out to light to prove his innocence.
So just to be clear, if you're investigated and you hear lawyer after lawyer say, don't talk to police, show them your ID, say, they specifically tell you your Miranda rights. We say you have the right to remain silent. You're saying that proves you're not transparent if you accept that right.
I'm just saying that if I were innocent and I could prove that I'm innocent, I would just go like, here's the
and
proof.
Every lawyer worth their salt, defense attorney in this country would tell you you're a fucking idiot. Every single one.
Yeah, because guess what? Why they would say that is because it's in their benefit to juice you for as much money as possible.
That's not true at
all. But
all.
if I have
a
tape of me not committing a crime, I would show it to them, and then I would be done with it.
So you think that Donald Trump had a tape of him not committing a crime?
No, I'm just saying he would have witnesses. He would have paperwork. He
What
would
does that
have
have? What does that have anything to do with anything?
that he would
Donald Trump.
disprove all of these crimes.
Donald Trump doesn't have to disprove anything. He has the right to remain silent. He has the right to hire attorneys. He has the right to plead the fifth. For example, why, if transparency, why over and over again do we see people like Hunter Biden or Hillary Clinton, when they testify, say, I don't recall, I don't recall, I don't recall, I don't recall? Or why do we see them pleading the fifth? Does that prove that they're not transparent, that they're guilty?
Did Hillary Clinton say that she didn't recall or she
Over and
pleaded the
over.
fifth?
She over and over said, I don't recall.
Did she plead the fifth?
I'm sure she did at certain points. I don't recall specifically, though.
Yeah, I don't think she did, but I could be wrong on that. But I don't think. But
What
I
Hillary
do
Clinton
know
was allowed
that
to
I
do was
watched
testify.
that I watched Trump's depositions, and he said nothing except I plead the fifth.
So?
And so did all of his all of his cohorts.
Okay.
Like
so you keep that energy
you know,
going. Just to be clear, if Trump's DOJ decides to prosecute people like Adam Schiff or Liz Cheney or Joe Biden, anytime they plead the fifth, you'll say, "Oh, clearly they're guilty." Correct?
No. No. Hold on. That is completely different and a different, completely situation. And then I would have to look at the situation, and I would have to look at the totality of the circumstances. And then I would tell you if what they're doing is.
And let me guess, because they're good
malice.
people and Trump's a bad person. You have nothing. Your arguments were so bad here this evening. Anything else you want to talk about specifically? You want to go back to that border bill that you were unwilling to talk about? Because I wrote down the 5 things. I wrote down the 5 things you said. We can go through them real quick. The IRS, what Trump suggested was that eventually what we should do is get rid of the income tax and phase out the IRS. But he acknowledged it would be difficult to do immediately.
We could end it here. Can I have 30 seconds to finish to do an end statement or not?
Yeah, sure. And then I'm going to have
30,
a good
of course,
15, 20 minutes to
the
talk
rest of the
about
show.
just how you're one of the shittiest people that's ever called in here. But go for it.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. So I've more than completely proven by your actions and your inability to engage with my actual point, which is that Trump says he's going to do something and he doesn't do it. Okay, and that's proven with everything that he says and everything that he does. Okay, it's proven with the H-1B visa thing. Trump immediately backed Elon when he said it. He immediately backed him up because he's there for the money. He's there to gain favor with billionaires. And he doesn't care about you or me. The border bill, he could have saved maybe a couple lives, maybe more, but he didn't care. And he decided that his election and winning was more important than American lives. With the border wall, he decided that he was going to have Mexico pay for it, and he was going to build a wall, and then he didn't do it. And you hold water for him, and you're going to hold water for him whether he does it or not. And you're going to spin it in the most positive way. And you're going to trick your audience into thinking that he's a good person and that he's going to do what he actually says. And you know that he isn't. And that's why I called you propagandist. And I didn't insult you. I guess that was an insult. But other than that, I didn't insult you. And you can go ahead and call me stupid. You can go ahead and say whatever you want. I hope you have a great rest of your show. And have a happy new year.
You gonna run like a bitch before I give my final statement to you?
No, I'm not running. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, cool. I think you are one of the worst people that's ever called in here. It's made it very enjoyable for me. You've done things like give definitions of the term propagandist, and then when I show how you meet that very definition, as does everyone else that politically commentates, you then say, no, there's more to the definition. I didn't give it fully. You repeatedly say things and then backtrack and say you didn't say them, in an attempt to stall and deflect from the fact that you have no idea what you're talking about. You make declarative statements like, clearly Trump wouldn't be good for the border because he was against this bill, and then when I say, actually, that bill was a bad bill, you refuse to talk about that bill and just state as an assertment of fact that clearly it was a better bill than the status quo and Trump was wrong to sign it, and you know nothing about what was in that bill. The same is true of all the other specific things you said. You're unwilling to talk about any of them in specifics, such as Trump supposedly backtracking on the IRS, on H-1Bs, on pro-life, and the fact that he was, quote, an 80s Democrat. And all of this proves because I voted for Donald Trump and encouraged people to vote for Donald Trump, and the fact that he was an 80s Democrat or something like that proves that I'm somehow a propagandist. You've had no facts to back up what you're saying whatsoever, and consistently you've said things that turned out to be untrue that we've gone through and said. Worse than that, though, you came through with a sense of arrogance, claiming that I was a propagandist, and when I treated you with the hostility that you deserved, you claimed to be someone innocent that was treating me as just a fine, kind person that wasn't doing anything that would be offensive to me. Your arrogance mixed with the fact that you're one of the weakest person that I've ever debated, and you can't even contextually follow a linear linear argument. And I don't know if it's that you can't. I think part of it's that you can't, but I also think part of it's intentional because it's something that people like you tend to do. And this was from way back in my days in policy debate. When you're getting blown the fuck out, when you're unable to argue on the facts, what you seek to do is muddle up the debate. And that's constantly what you've tried to do here. You've bounced from topic to topic. You've moved things around. You're incapable of following even the slightest of arguments, a linear chain of how these arguments work. And you make it difficult and like pulling teeth because you constantly have to repeat yourself and go through because you're saying, I never said that. You're implying it. And then we have to go through and find out that 98% of the time I'm correct on exactly what you're saying. And you're just trying to have little minced words to get out of it and deflect from stuff. You're very bad at this. I don't think that you even believe that you're good at it. I really don't. And what you're really just saying is you're illustrating that you have Trump derangement syndrome. I think he's a bad guy. I think that he promised Mexico would pay for the wall and they didn't. Therefore, he's really bad. But I forgive all the misstatements that Joe Biden said. Yes, Trump engages in hyperbolic statements. For example, he said that the Ukraine conflict would be solved at day one when he won the election. Everybody knew that that was bullshit and that's him being hyperbolic. That's different than things like Joe Biden saying, I never met the business partners of my son. The laptop was Russian disinformation. I don't have cognitive decline, etc. Those Trump said Nazis were good people. You can't keep up on any of these. You're absolutely abysmal, and you have this confidence that you think you're doing a good job. The last thing I'll say before you go, and I'll pick through because you're unwilling to talk about these specifics, so I'll happily pick through them. As you leave, someone in my chat is convinced that you're a person by the name of First Amender, who I debated on Modern Day Debates. I do not believe that's the case. I believe your voice sounds different. But that person would like me to ask, do you go by the name First Amender, and did you debate me on Modern Day Debates?
No, I did not.
Okay. Well, if you don't want to talk about the specifics of these things, I'm more than happy to leave you go. Thanks for coming on here and providing content. I do really appreciate that. Anytime you look for another spanking to look like the terrible debater that you are, I'd be more than willing to hand it to you.
Robert, one last thing.
Yeah?
Okay? Oh, yeah. So I appreciate you having me on. And I mean, this is the first time I've ever debated anyone on anything.
You didn't do very good.
Well, I think I did pretty good for my first time.
No. Even for your first time. Because here's the thing. People that are genuine, like I talk to people all the time that aren't debaters. They're not even public speakers. They would be aghast to come onto a show like this and talk in front of even 5 people on the chat. But they could still be, quote, decent debaters because they're just saying things they really believe and they could linearly follow arguments. You couldn't do that because you're not interested in having a good faith debate. You're interested in trying to win, which unfortunately for you was never going to happen. Even if you were on the right side of an issue, which you're clearly not, you're probably not going to beat me in a debate, especially if it's your first time. People that do it more often might be able to do that. So the best chance you have is just to be honest and just to come on and give your honest opinions. And if you disagree with me, have them. But that's not what you did. That's why you constantly have to say things and then say, I never said that. You're misrepresenting me. Or you say that I'm a propagandist and give a definition and then say, but wait, there was more to the definition that will be ever changing as the discussion goes forward. That shows that you're not a good debater because a good debater would be someone who's willing to have an honest discussion and give their honest
I never
opinions.
claimed I was a good debater.
Well, you said you think you did pretty good for your first time, and I'm telling you didn't.
I think so.
Because doing pretty good for your first time, being a good debater in my estimations, being someone who's good faith and forthright with what they believe, as opposed to being someone who's just trying to win and willing to be duplicitous and lie about what they said over and over. So I don't think he did good.
No, I didn't lie.
You did.
No.
Over and over. For example, you said, no. I never said that it was because Trump told people not to vote for that bill. What I said was that Trump should have said that he tells people to vote for the bill and then would later have a bill that would be more secure. You never said that. You know you did.
That was my point. My point is that he's not a good person.
That you could say that's
He's
what
a
your
liar.
point was, but when you say, no, I didn't say that, and I say, yes, you did, and you say no, and then change what you said, and then excuse that changing by saying, but I'm just saying he's a bad person, he's a liar, that still doesn't refute the fact that you falsely claimed that I said that you said something that you didn't. And then getting out of it by saying, but I'm just saying Trump's a liar, like you attempted to do, shows that you're not good. Also,
Robert, you spent half of this debate telling me what I said.
Because you're a liar, because you continually say, I didn't say that when you did.
No, because
Yes.
you want to debate on your terms.
That's not true.
With
I
your
want to
words.
debate someone who has a stable position that's being forthright about what they're saying and what they believe. That's why I like debating people like Andrew Wilson, right? Andrew will bite the bullet on some really shitty stuff. But when he says, I believe X, he doesn't later, once I start disproving or how bad of an argument that is, go, well, actually, I never said that. This is what I said. He says, yeah, I said that, and here's how I'm going to defend it. You did the opposite. For example, you said that the proof that I was a propagandist, initially you misspoke and said it was a video you watched of mine. Then you admitted that you only read the title, right? Then you admitted that, okay, the election was a binary choice. And so to be a propagandist, I would have to be wrong about Trump being better on the border than Kamala, right? And then when your entire argument came down to, well, if Trump was good on the border, despite, we didn't get into this, but despite his record that showed, yeah, he was good on the border, all of that should be thrown askew because he told people not to vote for this border bill. And when I'm like, yeah, but that border bill is bad, you say, I refuse to talk about it. That's not why I'm here. That shows someone who's bad faith, who's not doing good in debate.
Well, no, I want to debate the subject at hand.
That is the subject at hand. If
But
I
who
say
decides what the
Biden
subject
is
at
a
hand is?
racist, you decided.
Yeah.
You brought up, you said,
you wouldn't let me talk about what I want
I
to talk
did.
about.
You talked at great length. You're right.
No.
This is, need I repeat? This is what happened. I said, okay, you're saying I'm a propagandist. Can you explain why? You gave the entire version. You said, well, here's why. Well, the first thing is I saw this video of you, right? And in this video, you said Trump would be good for the border. If you've brought border security, you should vote for Trump. I believe that was the terms you used. But Trump told people not to vote for this bill. So that's your propagandist. Trump doesn't care about the border.
I know why Destiny rage quit on you, dude. Because
he got his ass kicked like you. Right. I thought you didn't watch. I thought you didn't watch other political commentators. By the way,
dude, you like wear people down with talk nonstop.
You were worn down within 10 minutes.
No, absolutely not. You were threatening to kick me out within 10 minutes.
It wasn't within 10 minutes, and I wasn't upset. What it was that you were showing evidence that you were bad faith.
I'm going to ban you. I'm going to ban you.
Right. Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. If you had a show and limited amount of time to talk to your audience a week, and I came in and was completely lying to you, right? And you thought that it was complete bullshit and that I was completely lying, would you continue talking with me?
Yeah. The thing is that that's exactly what you did. You continued talking with me.
I did. You're right, because I was enjoying it. But would you?
Wait a minute. And the example that you just gave me, say that one more time. If I was on there, someone you thought I was lying, do you think I would continue talking to them?
Yes.
So you would continue talking with them?
Yes, sometimes I do. Yep. I'm asking you. Would you?
Yeah, Robert, I would definitely not talk to someone like that.
You wouldn't. And sometimes I get frustrated when people that I think are going to call in and may disagree with me, but they're at least coming through it what they're going to defend the things they say. One of the big pet peeves I have is people like you constantly say something, and then when I start to poke holes in it, you say, I didn't say that, and it turns out you did, and you're lying, and you know you are. You know for a fact. You tell me right now. 2 questions real quick. 1, did you initially say something that was close to this, that the reason I was a propagandist was because you saw the title of a video of mine saying if you're concerned about border security, you should vote for Trump? And second, Trump doesn't care about border security because he told people not to vote for the Langford bill. Did you say that?
Oh, so I would have to go back and look at exactly, but I know that coming into this debate, my point, the reason that I came in here was to try to prove, and I probably failed at this, try to prove that it doesn't matter what Trump says or does, you're gonna hold water.
That's not the question. That's not the question I had. What you intended to do versus what you actually said is irrelevant to me. I'm saying, did you say that?
Well, no, you derailed and you changed the subject.
It had nothing to do with derailing and changing the subject.
Yeah, it did. Because you wouldn't want to talk about what I wanted to talk about.
What did you want to talk about?
It's a good debate tactic. I gotta say,
it has nothing to do with derailing. What you said was
very tiring.
This is what you wanted to say, basically. Trump claims to care about things, but he doesn't. He does the opposite.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was like, give specifics. Why am I specifically a propagandist for that? You said if you wanted a secure border, vote for Trump. And Trump claims to care about the border, but he doesn't because he voted against the Langford bill. He told people to vote against the Langford bill, right?
Yeah.
So what you wanted to talk about, you then started to give specifics, like Trump seeming to care about the border, but then telling people not to vote for the border bill, correct?
Yes.
I said that's what you said. You then said, no, I didn't say that. You then said
of Trump not caring about what he says he cares about.
What you're doing is,
you know that.
No,
and you still
that's not true. That's not true. You stupid fucker. That would only be true if that bill would have been good for the border, which it wasn't, which is exactly how we got on this initially. The whole spiel was, you were like, oh, I'm gung-ho. I got a bunch of reasons. In fact, on X, it started talking about free speech. and you claiming that somehow I needed to apologize to my audience because Elon took away Asmongold's blue check mark. And so therefore, presumably when I talked about the importance of not banning people for political speech, somehow that made me a hypocrite, a propagandist. That's how this whole started on X. So you come on, and I'm like, okay, give me the rundown. You right out of the gate, you're like, well, you're a propagandist. How am I a propagandist? I'm going to leave you. Tell me the exact reasons. Now, in your head, apparently, you're like, it's because Trump says one thing and he does another. That's the big message that you're trying to get across, right?
Yes.
And you're like, well, the way you're specifically a propagandist, Rob, is you said if you're concerned about the border security, you should vote for Trump. But Trump says one thing and he does another. Okay, on this specific issue, how? He said he's concerned about the border, but he told people to vote against the border security bill. And I say, well, that would only be true, that would be hypocritical if that border security would have been one that helped the border, but it wouldn't have. Let's go into it. You say, no, I'm unwilling. That's not what I want to talk about. That would be the equivalent if you said, I want to call in and talk about how Trump's a racist. And I say, okay, let's talk about it. Give me an example. And you say, I think he's racist because he called Don King the N-word. And I say, no, he didn't. Here's exactly what Don King said happened, and he never called Don King the N-word. And you said, I don't want to talk about that. That's derailing from what I want to. I just wanted to talk about Trump being a racist. Oh, and he also called Vivek Ramaswamy the N-word. No, he didn't. I don't want to talk about the specifics of that. I just want to talk about how Trump's a racist. Do you see? And that's why then eventually I got frustrated and said, okay, then get it all out. Because if you're going to say the reason he's a hypocrite is because of X, and I say, no, that's not true. And you say, I don't want to talk about X. He also did Y. I just want to talk about a laundry list of things. And I said, fine, get it all out. Get them all. And I even told you, that's what I'm doing. Get them all out. And you said, there's so many, but 5's good enough. I said, okay, can we start to talk about the specifics? No, you still didn't want to talk about the specifics. What you wanted to do was come in and say, my interpretation is that border bill was better than the status quo, and the fact that Trump was against it proves that he's a hypocrite. My interpretation is Trump said, get rid of the income tax, and the fact that he's not doing it now proves that he's a hypocrite. My interpretation is Trump was a Democrat in the 80s, and the fact that he's not a Democrat now proves that he's a hypocrite. But I don't want to talk about any of the specifics. You just want me to go, oh, okay. Yeah, I guess. I could do the same thing. I think Joe Biden's a hypocrite. Why? Oh, because he pushed for forgiving student loans. You would say, I don't think that makes him a hypocrite. I'm not talking about why you're derailing. I'm not talking about the specific thing. That's derailing. That's derailing the conversation. I just wanted to talk about how Biden's a hypocrite. And he's also a hypocrite because he gave money to Ukraine. You'd be like, how the fuck's that make him a hypocrite? Whoa, I'm not prepared to talk about that. I just want to talk about how Biden's a hypocrite. You see how fucking stupid that is? That's what you did. And you continue to use that as a defense. Well, the reason I misspoke, the reason I lied about what I said was you derailed. You wanted to talk about the specifics of whether or not that proved that Trump was a hypocrite or disingenuous. And I didn't want to talk about the specifics. I just wanted to throw it out there and say, well, I don't want to talk about them, but these are all evidence. Trust me, but I won't talk about it. That's what you did. Because you are a propagandist. You're a liar. You're bad faith.
No. Absolutely not.
Yes. If I said Trump's a hypocrite because of X, and you said, well, let's talk about that X, I'd say, okay, that's why I brought it up. I wouldn't say, I don't want to talk about X. What are you talking about? That's derailing. Now I want to talk about Y. And you're like, fine, let's talk about Y. I don't want to talk about Y. I want to talk about Z now. Then I want to talk about A, B, and C. Until you want to talk about the specifics, then I don't want to talk about it. That's ridiculous. Everyone can see how transparently foolish that is and how it's just someone who hates Trump and you're used to just being in your little bubble where you just say, Trump said Nazis are good people, and everyone goes, yeah, that's what he said. Yeah. You're not waiting for someone to say, wait a minute, let me push back on that. No, I don't want you to push back. I don't want that. That's derailing. It's fucking a joke. That's why you're not a good debater. You're what you accuse me of being. You're a propagandist.
Well, I'll give you credit for this though. This is like almost like a 2-on-1 because you tell me my opinion. So you're like half Neo, half Rob, right? So you tell me what I'm arguing, and then you argue with yourself, and then I'm here left trying to figure out what the hell is going on.
What did I say that I told you were arguing that I was incorrect on?
So that's not what I just said.
You said,
Robert, that's not what I just said.
Okay.
Robert, what I said is, there's a Robert, there's me, and then there's this imaginary.
okay, so
crazy
implying
Neo.
that there's an imaginary third crazy Neo means that I'm saying that imaginary crazy third thing believes things that you don't. Correct? For example, if you said I like red apples, and I say, okay, you say you liked red apples, you'd say, whoa, why are you telling me what I think? That's a third person. Yeah, but you said you like red apples. Yeah, but why are you saying that I said I like red? That's ascribing positions to me. So then I would say, okay, can you tell me the position I've ascribed to you that you don't believe? And you can't.
Dude, your propaganda. You're so good at propaganda that you're able to imaginarily create a copy of myself. And
what did I say that wasn't
what
accurate?
he says, and then you correct him, and then you guys double team me.
Give me one example. Give me one example. Then I just talked a lot, and you're saying I did it there. Give me one example where I ascribed the position.
I didn't say you did it there. I said you did it throughout the.
Okay, give me one example.
Dude, it's so crazy. I would have to
give
go
me
back
one
and
example
so many times.
You're saying that I've ascribed positions to you that you don't believe. Give me one example.
So right at the beginning of our debate, I came in and you said, "Hey, what do you want to talk about?" And I said, "I want to talk about the hypocrisy of Trump, of saying one thing and then doing another." And then I started giving examples. I started going into the border, and then you said that I said that Kamala was better at border protection than Trump.
No,
we
what
went into
I
that
said
whole
was
thing.
we got in the conversation in that context and actually progressed to why I was a propagandist. And you then, after first you misspoke and said it was because you watched a video of mine, and then you later clarified that you just read the title of a video of mine, that I said, if you're concerned about border security, you should vote for Trump. And then we went into a thing that said, well, but there could be two people that are bad at something. Like, let's presume that both are bad at border security. It wouldn't make me a propagandist, because we've already, and you admitted that it's a binary choice between Trump and Kamala. It wouldn't make me a propagandist to say, actually, I still think you should vote for Trump, even if you don't think he's good. And you acknowledge that that would be the case. You wouldn't acknowledge that because you're duplicitous and a propagandist and a liar. So I had to give a hypothetical and talk about spending. And I said, let's say that I think Trump's bad on spending, but I think Kamala's worse. If I said, if you're concerned about spending, you should vote for Trump, seeing as how it's a binary choice, which you've already conceded, then you saying, but Trump was bad on spending, therefore you're a propagandist, would be asinine. Because one, you didn't even watch what my argument was. You just read the title. And second, even if he is bad, that doesn't prove that I'm wrong or a propagandist on my statement that he should be preferred to someone who's even worse. And so the reason that we then talked specifically about Kamala, the reason that she came up, was in the context of you saying that I'm a propagandist. I'm saying, but clearly he's better on the border than Kamala. And then we went through specifics why. But that's actually after the initial thing, before we even got into that, which before we even talked about Kamala or her name brought up to my knowledge, we talked specifically about me saying, well, let's talk specifically about the border bill. You say Trump says one thing on the border, but he's duplicitous, he's a liar, he doesn't care about the border because he was against this bill. And I said, yeah, that's because the bill was shit. Let's talk about it. You said, no, I refuse to talk about it. So you were the person, that's when the conversation then went on to, well, how am I was like, this is stupid. You can't say someone's a hypocrite and then say why. And when I say, let's look into that, and you say, no, I don't want to. So then the conversation naturally progressed to, well, how are you specifically calling me a propagandist? Which is where I had to get you to admit that it's binary between Trump, Kamala, etc.
Yeah. And I can use your words, the example that you just used to prove that you're a propagandist, right?
Okay, go.
So you talked about how Trump spent a lot of money, but you're saying that the Kamala Biden administration was going to spend more, right? But if you would look at it, Trump spent more than every other president before him combined.
What?
So wouldn't it be pretty likely that he's going to spend more than any other administration that after him, like that he would come after?
Well,
wouldn't that make sense?
No. Let's say
yeah, it does.
Okay,
but
you want to see how dumb your argument? You want to see how dumb your argument?
And you propagandize.
You want to see how dumb you want to see how dumb you are? You ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
Who was president after Trump?
It was Biden.
Okay, so if Trump spent more money than all presidents before him, but Biden spent more money than Trump, would it be fair to say Biden-Harris? Would it be fair to say that Biden-Harris spent more money than all presidents before them?
I think they were very close in spending.
Okay,
so
that's not the question. if hypothetically the Biden, and I said, I don't know if they spent more. It was close. I agree with that. But Trump had the years where the Democrats wanted to spend even more. That was a crisis under COVID, right? And Biden didn't have that. And I said, if your argument is, but if Trump spent more than every president before him, that proves that it would be absurd, and we have to assume he would spend more than Biden or Harris if they win again. Well, that's bullshit,
Absolutely.
especially if Harris and Biden spent more than Trump.
But did they spend more than Trump?
I don't know. I said that I think it was close. I think they did. I don't know that the final tallies are out yet for the fourth year.
Yeah,
but nonetheless, you never push back on the fact that, yeah, although Trump did spend way more than he should have, and I criticized it heavily the whole time, the most outlandish spending was under COVID, which was a crisis and which Democrats wanted to spend even more, including people like Biden and Harris.
What proof, what inkling, what feeling do you get that tells you that Trump would spend less, or
The fact that Biden and
than
Harris, without a crisis, spent almost just as much, if not more. The fact that the policies they were talking about, like Green New Deal policies, would cost trillions upon trillions of dollars.
No. So they dealt with the COVID for a long time afterwards, and then they dealt with inflation. So what do you mean no crisis?
So the crisis wasn't to the level of the emergency spending that even Democrats told us were necessary in the middle of the crisis and the immediacy of the lockdowns. The lockdowns were the reason that we had to spend so much, which was terrible for Trump, Republicans, and Democrats. But the Democrats wanted more of those lockdowns. That's why we were told we needed the PPP loans. We needed like all the stimulus that went out and shit like that, because those lockdowns weren't occurring because the crisis had been averted more as we went on further. Then those things weren't necessary under the Biden administration.
Okay, would you consider October 7th, the whole thing with Israel, and then Ukraine, are those crises that they had to deal with, or no?
Well, by the same context, then we could say there was a bunch of crises that would be all through all presidencies. Iraq war would be a crisis. Afghanistan would be a crisis, et cetera, et cetera. COVID was certainly unique.
Yeah, COVID was definitely unique, right. But I don't think there were any like hot or new wars that happened during the Trump administration.
Right. So whose fault's that? We had a bunch of them under Biden and not under Trump. Great.
Yeah. I mean, shit happens, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so,
or maybe it's because of bad leadership. Nonetheless, the point you're making is nonsensical.
It's absolutely
it is not. It is not.
No. Yeah. The point is, right, that you spin this whole this whole scenario to look as good as possible for Trump or a future Trump administration.
You do the same for Biden. And
so are you not a propagandist?
No.
Which is my main point.
No, because I'm not being disingenuous.
So you're lying, because that's the definition of propaganda.
No, I'm not. What's the definition of propaganda? Let's go through your definition.
No, let's hear your definition, because I like that one better.
Intentionally being dishonest to spin things for your side.
Exactly.
I'm not intentionally being dishonest. How am I?
So are you being unintentionally dishonest?
No. When I'm talking specifically, what have I said that's dishonest in any of that conversation about spending?
I wouldn't say that you said anything dishonest. I would say you spinned.
Oh!
You spinned it.
What did I spinned?
So you spinned.
I spinned. Go ahead, tell me what I spinned.
The whole scenario with Trump and his spending
You
habits.
spinned Biden and his alleged sexual harassment. You spinned Biden and his refusing to acknowledge his daughter. You would spin a bunch of things about Kamala Harris. That's what people put facts in a favorable light to the people that they're advocating for. That doesn't make you a propagandist.
You know that you're the definition of a propagandist.
No, I don't know that. I know that you are a definition. You can't even define. In fact, your definition of propaganda, and I assume your definition of any term is, well, it will be ever changing throughout our conversation. So I can.
No, I gave you a good definition for propaganda.
And then you later said, and then once I showed that you met that definition, you said, well, I have to change that definition now.
No, I didn't. I added one word to it.
Is that changing it?
Yeah. I added a word to it.
Did that one word change?
Added a little context.
Did that one word? No. Did that one word change?
Words, don't you?
No, not when you ask me for a definition. I don't quote add context that completely changes the meaning. Yes or no? And the way that you defined propaganda Were you a propagandist? In fact, was every person that's advocating for a political position a propagandist? Yes.
Yeah.
The way you defined it, every single person would be a propagandist. So then you changed the definition by adding words to say, well, it depends on what your motives are or what your goal is. I forget the exact word.
Your end goal.
Right. That completely changes the definition, because the definition as you gave it literally encompassed everyone that's opining on politics. And when I say that's a bad definition, that means you would meet that definition. That means everyone would meet that definition. You then change the definition to severely limit who it would apply to. So the idea that like, oh, I just harmlessly added one word, it completely changed the definition. And by the way, made it subjective, because now you could meet...
Me adding that word, did it make it more accurate?
No. In fact, it made it more subjective.
What?
It made it more subjective.
But you said one applied to everyone, and then this one applied to a limited amount of people.
Just because it applied
so
to everyone.
So it made it more accurate.
No, it doesn't make it more accurate, right? Admitting it applied to everyone doesn't make it less subjective. It may make the definition worthless. But saying, like, for example, if I said this, my definition of propagandist is anyone who's ever talked about politics. And you would say, wow, that's shit. That's a shit definition. And I said, let me add to that. Anyone who ever talked about politics that I feel is a propagandist is a propagandist.
Is that
a better definition? Is that better?
One word at the end of my definition?
Did you only add one word?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, but this was your first. Yes or no? Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. Just so everyone could see what a liar he is. Now he's saying he added one word. Here was his original definition of what a propagandist was: a person that spreads disinformation, or misinformation, or truthful information, but spins it in a positive or negative light. And you added one word. That word was? Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was reading chat.
You added one word. You added one word to that definition. Go ahead. What was that one word?
Yeah, no, I misspoke. I added like
you misspoke again. You mean you added more than one word?
Yeah.
Oh! So then when I said my definition of propagandist is anyone who's ever opined about politics, and you're like, well, that's really bad. I agree. That would be a bad definition. I said, that I feel is a propaganda. You said, but I only added one word to my definition. You added three. But you added more than one word. So there. Now both of our definitions are equally successful. We both added 3 or 4 words. Okay. The problem, when I say that the words added in your definition were worthless, was because they're subjective, depending on your end goal. Okay. Yeah. What does that mean?
You gotta understand what was the reason? Why did I add that to my definition? Why?
Because you realized your definition was shit.
No, because I wanted to make it more accurate.
How is that more accurate?
I wanted to communicate better.
It is not more accurate.
Hold on. I just wanted to ensure that you understood exactly what I meant. And that's called communication, Robert.
Okay, so then let's ask this. Let's ask the audience. I know most of the audience is predisposed to disagree with you, right? Which is fair. But I want anyone in the audience, try your fucking best, and I will give you a shout out. His definition has changed to now, propagandist is a person that says misinformation or disinformation or truthful information that spins it in a positive or negative light, depending on what your end goal is. Can anyone steelman as best as possible what that means?
Come on, Chad. I know you can do this.
So my end goal is to get Trump elected. Am I propagandist? My end goal is for the country to be better. Am I propagandist?
No.
My end goal is to see Joe Biden lose. Am I propagandist?
It depends on what you're doing.
How does your definition clarify any of that?
Well, that's why it's my definition. I didn't look up
so your definition
vocabulary.
So basically, your definition is anyone who lies, tells untruthful things or truthful things, that I feel their end goal justifies calling them a propagandist. In other words, what your definition is, anyone who talks about politics that I personally feel is a propagandist is a propagandist.
There's that Neo again. There's that imaginary Neo.
What are you talking about? You just said, when I said your definition saying depending on what their end goal is, it doesn't articulate what the end goal is. And you're like, well, it's just my opinion. So it's your opinion on whether or not that end goal means they're a propagandist. Right?
Who am I speaking to, Neo or Robert?
You're speaking to me.
Okay, who's me?
Rob.
Okay, Rob. So yeah, if we could just try to keep other Neo away for a little bit.
Look, I know your little rhetorical trick. It's not funny, and it's certainly just a sign of your absolute weakness. The reason it feels like a 2-on-1 is because you're getting absolutely blown the fuck out. So the fact that you would even acknowledge that it feels that way just shows how poor you are. I want you to explain what is, if I said something like this, I define apple is ultimately at the end what it'll do to your stomach. Is that help with the definition? What is the purpose of defining words?
It's so for clarity. So
right.
We know what
so if your definition includes it depends on your end goal, and it doesn't seek to clarify what that end goal is, who gets to determine whether or not it's propaganda? Who gets to determine whether the end goal makes something propaganda or not? Because the first part of the definition, you've already admitted, literally encompasses everyone who talks about politics. Because everyone who talks about politics is either spreading misinformation, disinformation, or truthful information and spinning it to hurt or help their side. So that's everyone. You've acknowledged that. And so the part you add is depending on what the end goal is. So that's the only part that matters. Whether or not something's propaganda is anyone who talks about politics depending on what their end goal is. Okay, how does that clarify? No one has a fucking clue what that means. In other words, if you think their end goal is something that you consider propaganda, then it's propaganda. Like, what if I said to you, well, I think if someone's end goal is they want their candidate to win, that's not propaganda.
But do you lie in order to get that to happen?
Doesn't matter. You've already acknowledged.
Do you spread misinformation? Do you spin things in order to make your candidate look as good as possible?
Can you name me one person that doesn't do that?
Me. I try.
That's bullshit. You're telling me you're not spinning things to try to make Biden look as good as possible?
No, I'm not.
You're a liar. You're lying.
No, I'm just stating the fact.
That's not true. As soon as I say
every time I started,
that's such bullshit.
I wanted Biden out.
Every time I talked about negatives of Biden or Kamala, you were spinning the entire time. Well, I don't know. They were telling the truth when they rescinded the orders. And, well, maybe Biden, he was waiting for a DNA test about his son. And maybe these women, they only brought that up because he was running for office about his sexual harassment. And maybe, with the shower thing, you spun every single thing. And it's everyone here could see it. And there's no shame in that. Yes, that's exactly what people, when you're advocating for or against a political position, you're going to make arguments and spin it in a way that you think is beneficial to your side. It is by human nature that occurs. The fact that you can't be honest about that is a fucking joke. Everyone can see this.
My end goal during this conversation is to reach the truth.
You're not.
My end goal is not.
Then you're
blatantly. Not to make Hunter. Is not to get anyone elected. Is not to make someone look good or bad. I just want to talk about how Trump says something.
That's not.
And then he does the opposite.
I don't give a shit about what you claim to want to talk about. If your end goal is to get to the truth, then you lying and saying in the course of this conversation, never once did you spin things in a positive light for Biden, or spin things in a positive light for Kamala, or spin things in a negative light for Trump, which I already got you to admit that you were spinning things in a negative light for Trump and me. You're full of shit when you later say, no, I didn't do that.
I'm not trying to. It's just.
You are doing it.
There is no other way to talk about Trump.
That's right. That's right. Everyone is going, you have an idea position. I think tax cuts are good. So when you start to make arguments, even if they're factual, you're going to spin it as to why they're a good thing. If you think tax cuts are bad, if you make arguments that are even truthful, you're going to spin them to say why it's bad. That's what people do when they're talking, when they're arguing, when they're giving their preferences. If you think that cheeseburgers are the best meal, you're going to give truthful facts as to why you think that's the case and spin it to try to convince people why that's the case. That's what you're doing here. And the fact that you lie and you say, no, I didn't spin anything in any light whatsoever. I didn't spin anything negative to Trump. I didn't spin anything positive to Biden or Kamala. It's a lie. It's a fucking lie. Everyone could see it. Everyone.
So think about this. Like how is someone supposed to spin the fraudulent elector scheme in a positive way?
What does that have anything? What does that have anything to do with what we're talking about? How is someone supposed to spin Joe Biden taking inappropriate showers with his shower is not a negative thing? How is someone supposed to spin Joe Biden lying about meeting the business partners of his son and not a negative thing? You did it.
What you're doing right now is spin. spinning it negatively.
What word? That's right. Yes, you're right. I am giving arguments that I think paint Joe Biden in a negative light. You're giving arguments and spin. But my end goal is right now in this meta conversation is to prove that you're lying.
No, but what's your overall goal?
In what? When you asked me what my goal was
to get Trump elected, right? That was
is that my goal right now? My goal in this
No,
conversation.
what was your overall?
Elected.
It was to get Trump elected.
When
right?
I put out a video, I set out to put out videos as to why disparate groups should vote to elect Trump, why he would be better.
Robert, it's so easy, man. Yes or no? Was your goal to get Trump elected?
That was a goal that I had with videos on my channel.
Okay, so what's my goal? My goal is to get Biden elected.
What if you were putting out videos that said, "Here's why you should prefer Kamala over Trump"? Yes,
no,
I assume your goal.
My goal was to prove that Trump is a bad person.
I don't give a shit what you're. I don't get.
Well, guess what? I don't give a shit either.
So then you lied when you said your goal's just to get to the truth. When you just said that the reason you're having this conversation.
That is the truth.
No. That's two different things. You saying that my only goal with this conversation is to get to the truth is different than you now saying my goal is to show that Trump is a bad person. Those are two different things.
Because he is. It's the truth.
That's not that you think it's the truth, but it's irrelevant to what your objective is.
My objective is to prove that he's a bad person.
That's changed from what you just. Then why did you lie when you said earlier that your only goal with this conversation was to get to the truth?
Because Trump being a bad person and a hypocrite is the truth.
You think it's the truth, but what if I proved it
I
wasn't?
know it's the truth, and you know it's the truth.
It's bullshit, right? And secondly, if your goal is the truth, that's different. You're going to argue and spin things differently than if your goal is to prove that Trump is bad. Those are two different things.
You can't spin the truth. You just state it.
That's not true. For example, if your goal is to prove that to get to the truth, you'll look at every accusation of Trump and try to have a lens that is completely open and determine whether or not that specific issue, even if you subjectively
grab him by the
think,
pussy. Man, let's fucking spin that.
Okay. What does that have anything to do with anything? You're just showing your TDS. You're just going through the Democrat talking points. You get blown out on every fucking topic and you just say things like, alternate electors, grabbed by the pussy. If your goal was just to get to the truth,
Mike Pence is going to get hung.
Mike Pence, there you go. More the gallows that were there, right? And remember when he fed those koi fish too much food? Remember that? Oh, man, that was fucking, that was terrible. And Barack Obama's tan suit. Barack Obama's tan suit. And remember when Ted Cruz went to Cancun? So there, I win. I win the argument. The point I'm trying to make is if you're lying about not spinning things. That's a lie. You're lying about
the koi fish thing was that he was just copying what Enzo was doing, so he just poured it in just like the other guy did.
So if your goal was to get to the truth, then the way you would look at each situation would be that if your goal is to show that Trump is a bad person. Those are two different goals. Even if you think those goals coincide. For example, if I said as a football team, my goal is to rush for 3 touchdowns, and then the other goal I had was my goal is to win the game.
Did I tell the truth about the koi fish or no?
Yeah, so?
Okay, all right.
If I said that my goal is to rush for 3 touchdowns, and then I said, no, my goal is to win the game, and I said, well, if I rush for 3 touchdowns, I'll probably win the game. Those goals aren't the same. You've changed 3 times now. You've changed. You said your initial goal was to show that Trump is a hypocrite and doesn't care about the things he believes. Then you said your goal was just to get to the truth. Then you said your goal was to prove that Trump is a bad person. Those are different goals. They might all be true, but those are different goals. They're not all true.
No, they're all the same goal. At the end, you just find the truth.
They're not the same goal.
Yes, they are.
They're not.
Yes, they are, Robert.
They're not. You're full of shit.
If I'm
you lie over and over. You lie over and over again. Because if you start with the assumption that you're just looking for the truth, then you'll try your best not to spin anything. So when we're talking about Biden, so for example, when we're talking about Biden, like not acknowledging his grandchild, when we're talking about Biden not acknowledging his grandchild, you would say, yeah, that's really bad. You wouldn't say, well, wait a minute, because you're spinning. Because your goal is to show Trump's bad. And one of the possible ways to show Trump's bad is to show his opponents are good. They're decent people. You wouldn't, and so you're gonna immediately push back on the border. What about with Kamala and Trump? Oh, how can I say that what they did wasn't that bad? Well, yes, okay, they rescinded this executive orders, but they were truthful about it, which means that we should trust them more when they say they're going to be secure about the border this time. right? You see? Because you're spinning. Because your goal isn't to get to the truth. If it was just to get to the truth, then it would be to get to the truth on not just Trump. It would be to get to the truth on all of these things. But you're immediately, anytime there's any pushback and criticism of Biden or Kamala, what do? You spin. And that's okay. There's no problem. That's what people do. The problem is you're lying about it. You're lying when I said I didn't
about
spin.
Trump and his hypocrisy.
It doesn't matter. Then the debate wasn't about just, quote, getting to the truth.
It is, because he's a hypocrite. It's true.
That's not true. It's not true. If I said, right, my goal going into a conversation is to say Joe Biden's a shithead, and then I later said my goal in this conversation is just to get to truth, and you were like, hey, by the way, I want to talk about the Civil War, right? And you started talking about that. If my goal is just to get to the truth, I'll hear you out and say, oh, let's get to the truth of this. If my goal is a different goal to talk shit on Biden, I'd say, I don't want to talk about this. I have no interest in the truth of the Civil War. I only have an interest in talking shit on Biden. Those are two different goals. You can't even be honest about that.
No, at the end goal is the truth, but it's all the truth, Robert.
It's not the truth. Okay, so he's a hypocrite. If that was your end goal, just to get to the truth, why didn't you want to talk about the border bill that you say is proof on the border that
because that was just one example. Because you cut me off first of all, and you
did not cut you off.
Yeah,
I did not derail.
Absolutely. You and the other Neo were just explaining shit to me. I was confused.
What did the other Neo say that was an inaccurate representation of what you said?
What, Rob Neo? That guy's crazy, man.
What did he say? Give me one example of what a precision that I ascribe to you as the other Neo that you don't ascribe to. Give me one example. You've yet to be able to do so.
Okay. So I did already, but I'll do it again.
Okay, go ahead.
So you were saying that I was saying that Kamala and Biden would be better on the border than Trump?
That's not what I said. You can't accurately represent what I said. First, before any of this conversation, we've already went through this, but I'll go through it again. First, before any of this happened, I said, okay, give me the example of why I'm a propagandist and why Trump's a hypocrite. And you said, well, the first example is because I watched this video of you saying that Trump would be better for the border, but then Trump wasn't for the border bill. And I said, well, that's because that border bill sucked. It actually would have been bad. And you said, I don't want to talk about it. Had nothing to do with deflecting. Nothing at all. You just said, I don't want to talk about that bill. Then I proceeded to talk about the stupidity of that. For example, if you said, I think Trump's a racist, and I said, why do you think that? And you said, because this one thing he said, and I said, that doesn't prove racism. In fact, let me give you the context of what he said. And you said, I don't want to talk about that. That renders the entire conversation moot, because you're saying, here is why I have my belief. Here is the example. And I say that example's wrong. And you say, I don't want to talk about it. In fact, what you wanted to do was give a laundry list. I gave you all the time in the world that you wanted to come up with that laundry list. You came up with 5 examples. You refused to talk about any of the specific 5 examples, not one. So what you kept saying is what I want to talk about. Basically, what you're showing is I just want to give a laundry list of things and then not talk about the specifics on any of them and just say all of those prove he's a hypocrite, but I'm not willing to talk about any of the specifics on any of them. That's what you did. That is an accurate depiction of what you did. I'm not ascribing any position to you. When it came to the Kamala thing, we were talking specifically about your claim that I was a propagandist. And I said, well, isn't it binary? And you admitted, yes, it is binary. That my videos were trying to get Trump elected, and it was Trump versus Kamala. And which one should we choose? So when I say, well, I'm saying that, I'm not saying you're saying Kamala's better. I'm saying Trump's better than Kamala. So even if you think he is bad on the border, even if that's true, which I disagree, if he's better than Kamala, it doesn't make me a propagandist to say that. So I did accurately depict what you said. Now, what's wrong in what I just said there?
So let's, can I talk to Neo? Because I need to know where it all went wrong for me, man.
Last chance to make any coherent thought, and you're out.
Okay,
like, I get that you think you're onto something with other names. Give me one example. You keep saying, this is what you're implying. Well, there's me talking, and then there's Rob. And then Rob makes up this complete other character that says all this shit that I don't believe, right? And he's arguing against that guy. And I'm sitting here like, I don't believe any of this shit that Rob's saying I believe. It's a second Neo. What's going on? And I'm like, can you give me one example? One example? And you can't give me one. And so you just keep going, well, can I get other Neo? Other Neo? What did I just say that was wrong? You gave a specific example of when I gave other Neo a position that you don't hold, and that's not true. What did I say that was wrong there? So
let's like I said, okay, I honestly, I wasn't paying attention to, and I was laughing the whole time.
All right, man. Yeah, we'll see you.
Take care, man.
There you have it, folks. Maybe we'll get to another call or two here. But let me go grab a drink and I'll be right back. I gotta admit, though, I will say this. As bad as he was, just dopamine right to my fucking head. I've been sick. I haven't streamed much. I do so many of these call-in shows and shit, and it's like always lately it's been right-wingers. When you get these left-wingers, oh my God, so good. I just love it. I love it. So good. It was fun. He's so bad. So bad. That guy's so confident on X.